Hello and welcome, Draft League fans. Let me get the link to the stream out for everyone. And then we can get started. Alright. I just got back from a 4-day tour. A little bit tired, but we're gonna get through these semifinals games. Where am I going here? There we go. Bong. What's up, Sin of Wrath? Whoa. That's a lot of W's in there. Oh, Dougal said we should beat me with a bag of hammers. Probably not, though, right? Probably not. But okay. So, before we started with the actual semifinals games, what I wanted to do is do a quick little overview of week 7, which I did not upload because I put this in my Discord channel, or my Discord server, but in week 7, there were 3 teams that were mathematically locked, and the last team, as long as they didn't lose like 7-1 or worse, they were locked for playoffs. So, I mean, did week 7 matter? Not really. Spoiler, they did not get 7-1'd. So the top 4 teams were pretty much decided by like the 3rd game of the week. So the quality of the games did kind of follow that. So I will not be going through every single game of week 7, but I wanted to highlight 3 games in particular. We're not going to go super in depth, but I just wanted to highlight I think it ended 6-2 the other way, yeah. But I just wanted to highlight 3 players who did not make playoffs, but had a really strong season. The first of them is going to be Helom, which is going to be this guy over here. Helom, he had a really fantastic DPL, or was it DCL? It was one of those. I think it was DCL. Okay, I might be getting it mixed up, right? It was on Loki P's team. Yeah, DCL 3. He had a very strong season, finishing 6-2, I believe. And then you look over here, it's like, how will he do without that low QP prep support? And turns out he's doing just fine, ending the season. Well, he's what? We'll look at the game. He's up against Fierce Flamethrower, someone who is, I believe, undefeated going into this game. Both of them, though, SV. Well, Fierce Flamethrower not really so much SV main in this tour, more so playing Oras. But Helom has been in SV the entire time, if I remember correctly. And we're going to look at this like Torn team, and we're actually bringing the Articuno Galar. Yeah. And this is the only Torn Ting-Lu team in the tour, because someone dropped Ting-Lu at mids. Crazy. We do see Terra Electric on the Torn. And I believe the Articuno might also be Terra. I'm not sure on that. On the other side, Water Keldeo, Electric, Ursa Luna. Let's just look over this one real quick. Helom, he ends the season with a 4-2 record, not too shabby. You're gonna see Rocky Helmet Torn. This is aimed at checking the Meowscarada, punishing core of U-turns, that sort of thing. Now, a big Ruination into Keldeo gets that chip, and now the Articuno comes in. You're gonna see this is Terra Water, presumably choice specs, and does not 2-hit KO. And then they mod chat because we started shit posting. God, can we not have fun around here? But okay, Rakuen pivots in, Corv in on the sticky web, and now with these webs up, and of course the defog allows the Torn to come in for free, and so now we get this knockoff onto the red card Corviknight, and with that Rocky Helmet chip, now Corv is in like in some real danger. You see Taunt Torn preventing the Uxie from really doing anything. Another knockoff, sort of the helmet on Uxie. And Uxie takes more helmet in return. So this Torn putting in absolute overtime. Really good set here. The Rocky Helmet doing a lot of work. Now another foul play into the Ting-Lu. Another turn of Taunt. Never mind, the Taunt ends that turn. So back to Torn as rocks go up. But another U-turn is coming. Or a Terra Blast. Or just 2-hit KO the core, right? Too smart, this guy. Actually wouldn't have killed Uxie, is funny. But Uxie will go down now. You see Mouse Grata in, but this is a helmet torn, so you can't really click triple axe or anything. Everything else will be resisted by the Corv, no problem. Another Rocky helmet? No. So maybe it's Pad's Meow? We don't know. But Articuno gonna get sacked off to the Keldeo. But what is this going to allow? Free entry point for the Torn. And now, like, can just click Terra Blast or knock off either one, yeah. Knocks off the Gouging Fire's boots. Gonna U-turn a Ting Lu, which is Rocky Helmet. Able to check this Gouging Fire pretty handily. You see Flare Blitz only doing 32. Taking even more than that in recoil. Now we see an Earthquake keeping this thing low. Not gonna get a Morning Sun on the Ting Lu. Another Earthquake. And yeah, torn in on the Meowscarada from some more regen Rocky Helmet. Is that Choice Banded Meow? Looks like it might be. But regardless, you're getting some progress here. Back to the Ting Lu on the Morning Sun, I presume. There we go. Why is there a broom in the thumbnail? Could it be a preview of one of the series? Perhaps. And then you see a taunt Ting Lu faster than Corviknight, able to just force it to die basically onto Helmet. Arachnoid sacked off to Keldeo. Keldeo gets his 2 kills, but now Torn is in. And there is still that Ursaluna can come in here, but a U-turn. The aggressive U-turn click allows Corv to come in on the Luna. Here's a Supercell Slam, but thanks to J. Ricky, is not a 2-hit KO, which is absolutely hilarious. Why are we doing that with our Ursaluna? Anyways, it's a Gouging Fire versus Gouging Fire, but one of them has Scale Shot and will outspeed. Presumably loaded dice, so once you connect, it's a guaranteed KO there. Gets the +1 speed. We know this Meowscarada is not Scarf, so Ursaluna is the only thing that can check this, and Corviknight comes in. You see Helm able to put together this like very bulky team that still has progress makers, like the Taunt Torn able to break some of this fat from Fierce Flamethrower, the Ting Lu with Taunt able to take some favorable trades, and then at the end of the day, this Gouging Fire is going to be pretty much unstoppable now that this Ursaluna has taken all these helmets. Yeah, you see another low kick here, but the slow U-turn into the Gouging Fire, and now as long as you hit your Scale Shot, it's just a clean sweep. So like really clinical from Helm here. I just wanted to highlight he had a fantastic season. Once again, this is his 2nd season going for a very nice record, and you'd expect this to not be a fluke at this point. He probably is just that guy. Here's a Flare Blitz, and he's going to take out Fierce Flamethrower. The next person I wanted to highlight is Donnie P. This guy finished the season at, what was the record? Like 6-1? Yeah, 6-1 record for this guy. Really fantastic season. And this was someone who kind of came out of nowhere as like just a 3k min bid. I know the Finizens, after the auction we're talking about, they really allocated a lot of their budget to try to get this guy. And they thought he would be way more expensive. And turns out, they were right. This guy should have been way more expensive. And he had a fantastic season. 6-1, playing mostly DPP with one SV game in there. And we get to see his last DPP game here up against Acceleratin'. See Nidoking into Flygon here. Earthquake, but the Nidoking actually ends up being EV'd for that. But the Flygon also is able to live the Ice Punch. So a little bit of a wet noodle contest there, but the Flygon is able to come out on top into presumably the Rock's lead. So denying Rocks immediately. Now Rotom comes in, but a Spadef Roserade going to take advantage of this, start laying up spikes. The Spadef drop, while annoying, does not really matter. I'm going to Leech Seed the Rotom. Super effective hidden power, but with the Leech Recovery and Synthesis, or Protect, that works too. You're able to just kind of stall out this Rotom. Honestly, you could even consider getting a Spike up here, but no, it is also pretty safe to just go Flygon, sack it off to the HP Ice, come back in with the Roserade, and now you can start laying your hazards. Xatu does not have Magic Bounce in this gen. But okay, another Leech, another Protect, Roserade able to get some of that chip onto these guys. And now I presume you even like live a Psychic if you want to stay in, so Xatu kind of forced to stay in and go for it as Grumpig comes in. Don't see that every day. No leftovers. Don't know what this could be, but a double to Metagross catching the Rotom, but not exactly what you hoped for. Gonna go out into the Roserade, which can just kind of blink this thing as long as no Spadef drop. Now Heatran in, but the Grumpig does have Thick Fat, able to come right back in, or there's a Swampert. Sure, that works too. Catches the Overheat, no problem. And now Rocks could potentially just go up here. There's an Explosion, almost kills, but not quite. A Swampert doesn't elect to get Rocks up, but regardless, trades for the Heatran. And here you don't even have to sack the Swampert. You can just go into your 100% Roserade, save the sack. Yeah, brilliant play. And now you can go for a Leech. And if this Rotom stays in, now you're starting to lay up the spikes. Is it Spikes last? It could just be like HP Ground or something. Here's a Sludge Bomb. Does a lot. I think it might actually just be HP Ground on this set to hit the Heatran. There's a Custap Xatu, goes for a Psychic. Crit drops the Grumpig, but that's not going to matter too much. Able to shrug off that Grass Knot and knock out the Xatu. You see, he's kind of been in control the entire game, and that's kind of been the experience watching this guy play the entire season. He's just kind of like, he kind of just wins, you know? I heard Dusknoir makes its grand appearance, goes for the Thunder Punch on the Gyarados, but Rotom comes in. But again, this is just a free Roserade. Like, he doesn't care about this Rotom coming in as long as you have this defensive answer. He misses a Leech, not going to be too inconsequential. Another Leech. Okay, that one might matter. Okay, so now we're going to just get our chip and die. But now Dusknoir sneaks this, has Thunder Punch for the Gyara, gets the Intim, but okay, that looks like it might be a choice banded Gyarados, but Thunder Punch going to leave it very low, meaning after you shake off that Intimidate, looks like a Shadow Sneak should be able to pick it off, and then what's in the back? It's a Sceptile. And Sceptile is just going to get 3-8 KO'd by that, or, you know, you could just go Metagross. With the Shuka Berry, catches the HP Ground, and now, I mean, you can just Explode, I think, or Zen Headbutt, either or, just trade into an endgame. And that's going to be the game, because Gyarados is going to go down to the Shadow Sneak from Dusknoir. So again, highlighting Donnie P, who did not make playoffs, unfortunately, so this is his last game. We're doing an intro babble, just going over some of the Week 7 games, because I didn't cover the entire thing. Donnie P, 6-1 record at the end of the day. And then the last one I wanted to go over is II, who's had a fantastic season as well, ending 5-2 despite not making playoffs. And we're going to look at his last game in Week 7. This one features like a really strong Sableye set into this team. It's actually going to be specially defensive Calm Mind, if my head calcs are correct. And you're going to see like the only real physical attacker that Thinking Sceptile has is that Scizor. But are we really scared of Scizor when we have stuff like Steelix, Victini, even like a Lando T can slow that thing down? So we trade into the Florges. This is like really fantastic for the Sableye win path. And now Scizor comes in, we can just go Victini on this, no problem. Catches the Bullet Punch. And it's just like a really strong game plan, right? This Sableye is pretty inevitable. You go for the U-turn on the Aloe, catch it, get the Mega Evolution off. Now we can just go for Calm Mind. So you see Scald is 11%. And after this Calm Mind, the only thing that can really force this out is like a Swords Dance Scizor. It gets +2 here. A Swords Dance does go off, but this Shadow Ball is doing quite a lot of damage, almost a 2-hit KO. But we're just going to sack off the Lottie. No need to like risk our Victini to a stray knockoff or Bug Bite there. Because now Victini can come in, force this out with a V-Create. Now the next time the Sableye comes in, it's really not going to be easy to answer it. Now that the Scizor is chipped, see Nidoking come in on the Clefable with Wish in the air, gets that knockoff, the Life Orb is now gone. Now it's doing even less to the Sableye, which is going to come in right now. And you see 40%, maybe more of like a mixed defensive spread. But yeah, able to shrug that off. And now with Aloe coming in, I mean at this point you can play around Scald Burns maybe, get Clefable in, goes for a Flamethrower. And this sequence, like, you don't really get anything out of it as Thinking Sceptile has to mix it up. He is going to do so here by going Zeraora on the Sableye, but at the end of the day, it's just going to be Calm Mind, and you're going to see Toxic on the Sableye, able to just brute force through this Calm Mind ward. Now, +1 T-Bolt only does half, and so this Sableye able to shrug off pretty much everything that Sceptile can throw at it. And at this point, the Sableye is just going to win. Let me speed through this. You see Bullet Punch, not going to do that much. Able to get +3, so a clean 2-hit KO on the Scizor, and now nothing can even kill this at 29. So it is just kind of game over at this point. Really strong Sableye set and a really strong season overall from II. And with that intro out of the way, I think we can look into the actual semifinals. Now let's start with this series, which is going to be Better Call Saul, legendary run from things up to true. But okay, Better Call Saul, which is going to be Fogbound Lake's side, versus the Plunderers, which is going to be Castilia. yeah. So true. But okay, so these are two players that have had quite a strong season, especially Fogbound Lake, coming in as a Smogon player, not really too much experience in draft, but not really showing too much of any like growing pains or anything. So he's had a very strong record, but Castilia no slouch either. With this like Terra Goldango, Terra Mew kind of team has been quite strong. It's the only Valiant team that is positive, right? But yeah, Fog is, you know, he's been spamming this this like setup spam team, and it has looked quite strong. But okay, this surely has to be a close series, right? Considering how strong both these teams have done this season. Yeah, it's worth noting that the Plunderers are undefeated in the regular season. They have not lost a series. They have only tied and won series. Gold is incredible, and with Mew it's just nuts, man. Yeah, I mean, Goldango is just him. We call it Thanos around these parts. But okay, what Terra typing is Thanos? It is going to be water, which makes a lot of sense into stuff like the Gyarados, the Blaziken. I think when we played this team in the regular season with our Goldango draft, we also had Terra Water, if I remember correctly. Is Gold up to 15 yet? I mean, I don't know, but let me tell you, it will be getting a price increase for DPL, which is coming soon. Draft Premier League Season 10, the captain signups will be dropping basically frame 1 when Champions drops. So whenever that is, we'll be ready for it, and we can get going on, you know, the first big Champions tour. So that'll be huge, yeah. But okay, Water Goldango. On the other side, we see Ground on the Blaziken and Flying on the Gyarados. All right, and then on the Mew, it is going to be Terra Dark. Probably helping out into that Darkrai, Sableye type of thing. But okay, let's get into it. Cinderace is going to lead off into the Darkrai on a balloon. That's an interesting one. But Dark Pulse is going to do quite a lot of damage, not quite put it into Blaze range, so Pyro Ball is not going to one-shot the Darkrai, but it's going to get pretty close. And now, this Darkrai should force out the Cinderace, and Ting Lu is going to be the switch of choice, as it should be. Goes for a Sludge Bomb, fishing for a poison. Doesn't get it, but can follow up with an Ice Beam, start chipping down this Ting Lu, and job's done. Ting Lu is dead. Could potentially be Custap Berry, so you're going to see Fogbound Lake scout for the Custap, go into Gyarados, covers pretty much everything, because even if you stay in, you're really clicking Earthquake in that situation to kill the Darkrai, so Gyarados makes a lot of sense here. But also, like, you get 2 layers up, and you can kind of spin block the Tentacruel forever with Goldango. But okay, is it Custap Berry? Let's see. As results looking till now, this is the first game of the semifinal series. And it's Whirlwind. Really nice click from Castilia. This is like, this is a concept where, like, if the Ting Lu survives the turn, it's because Darkrai switched out. If Darkrai switched out, what do you want to click? Probably Whirlwind. You have double layers up. So really nice click there from Castilia. Forces Sableye in, which I don't think can kill the Ting Lu. So this actually allows max layers to go up. No, but it is faster with Nightshade. So still rocks 2 spikes. Then Valiant comes in, gets a Moonblast off, puts the Sableye into hazard range. And we're going to see an Encore lock this thing into Moonblast, and the Sableye goes down. Now Blaziken comes in. It is Boots, so it's going to ignore all those hazards. And with this Valiant locked into Moonblast, there's nothing like super scary, like Psychic or something like that. So Blaziken is pretty safe to go for a setup here, as Braviary comes in on the Swords Dance. Presumably can live 1 hit and, you know, threaten with a Brave Bird, forces the Terra here. Could also just like Whirlwind this out. I believe Braviary gets that. It's actually Scarf Braviary, outspeeding +1 Blaziken, but thanks to the Reflect, and it looks to be a pretty bulky Blaziken, it's only going to do 38. And with that recoil, it's just going to drop to close combat quite comfortably. Alright, so +2 Blaziken, going to outspeed everything. With screens up, it's not going to die to Vacuum Wave, so Valiant comes in, just going to die to the Terra Ground Earthquake at +2, and this is not... this is not looking good. Cinderace comes in, dies to Earthquake. Oh no. Are we just swept immediately? Mew goes down to the Earthquake. So an offensive Mew, and then Goldango definitely not going to be able to live this one. Well, I guess you do live, right? So maybe we could have gone to this first. Goes for a cover, trying to bait like a close combat drop. Maybe you need the drop or like the light screen to be gone. Yeah, the light screen is up, so now a Hex comes out and knocks it out. But I think Fogbound Lake might have this one covered. So Goldango is going to go down there to the Earthquake, and that's going to be game 1 of the semifinals. And man, that was domination from this Blaziken. Also highlights the strength of Sableye in SV, right? This is its main thing that it's quite strong at. You get both screens up, and with your typing, you deny Brick Break and Psychic Fangs, the two ways like you can break the screens, really. So allows you to get that entry point for your setup sweeper, and I mean, you can see it couldn't have been easier for Fogbound Lake. Now we go to game 2. This is going to be Soggy Doggy Sage for the Plunderers versus Mind Gaming for Better Call Stall. And Mind Gaming has been playing out of his mind, pun intended. And this team that he's been using has looked really strong in my opinion. He's getting a lot of use out of the Ditto, especially in the past few weeks. What was the prep for that Blaziken? I feel like screens in the SD Blaziken is something that should have been prepped for better. Yeah, you and me both. But I guess they were not good for it in that game. Only Dusclops beats Terra Blaziken. Does it even beat it? Because you have to force Terra, and then you can Will-O-Wisp it. But low-key, you can just Swords Dance to +6, even, on the Wisp turns. But either way, move on to game 2. We're going to see Electric Torn from Soggy Doggy Sage. The other Terra is going to be Dark on the Glastrier, looks like. And then on the other side, we do see Terra Electric Zarude, a classic in these Torn matchups. You beat it in your game, just Trick Room and Nightshade. That could do it, yeah. But okay, Electric Zarude, able to take on the Torn pretty comfortably, especially if the Torn is also Terra Electric. You don't really have like that Ground Blast, Terra Blast coverage. So yeah, Zarude should be pretty scary in this game. You do see the Screamtail able to outspeed and encore the Zarude. Even with like a speed booster, covers stuff like Trailblaze. You also have Ogerpon, which can run Charm Encore. So there are a lot of tools for the Zarude, but Zarude, pretty famous for outlasting its checks. That is a Screamtail, yep. Something else that is kind of like on Screamtail's to-do list is checking this Iron Bundle. Outside of Screamtail, you don't really have a whole lot for it. Maybe an AV Torn, but even then you're taking a lot from Hydro Pump into Flip Turn. Glacier can eat one, I suppose, but at the end of the day, it will be on Screamtail to contain that thing. Alright, let's look at the game. I don't know why Glacier is here. Maybe we'll find out. So Cinderace leads off into the Zarude, forces it out immediately under the threat of Wisp, into the Ditto, trying to cover for that sort of thing. Ditto is pretty nice. It covers the Wisp, covers a U-turn, even covers a Pyro Ball to an extent, so a really nice play there. You also get to scout the set, as Sage is going to miss the Super Fang. And now Mind Gaming says in the chat it is Double Edge, Super Fang, Taunt, Court Change. So mono normal Cinderace, meaning this is walled by Scizor, and now Mind Gaming knows this. That being said, you don't really want to take that damage on Scizor, but now you can really treat Scizor as a win condition, knowing that the fire type on the other side can't touch it. Really good information to have. Glass doesn't even beat most of the Ditto copies. True. But so Gliscor is going to pivot in on the Double Edge, takes basically nothing, gets the Toxic Orb activated, And now can just kind of go for some damage here, or Toxic, that works too. There's no Toxic immune on Sage's side. Honestly, you could just double Toxic here, as the Cinderace not likely to stay in, and does double Toxic, catches the Ogerpon. This is really good for Zarude in particular, putting this thing on a timer. And Gliscor presumably going to be packing Protect on a Toxic set, and there it is. But Sage going to take advantage of that, goes for a free Spike, and now Terapagos comes in, trying to get that spin off. There's no Ghost type, so you can kind of spin versus most things, but a U-turn with a Spike up, it is not Boots on Terap, but at the same time, nothing can really kill it. So Torn is forced to come in. It's a Leftovers Terap, probably signaling that it is going to be physically defensive or something like that, and a Toxic comes out. This is probably also Protect on the Terapagos, if I had to guess. But here's an Ice Beam, so maybe not. Toxic Ice Beam. Ice for the Dragonite. Yeah, so probably just a physically defensive Terap aimed at checking stuff like the Dragonite. And then you Toxic everything else, kind of outlast it. Here's the Terra on the Torrent, and here is the Protect on Terapagos. Is this going to bring you back to Shell? Not quite. Almost Shell. But still at 99%, is going to take full damage from this next Torn hit. Goes for a Bleak Wind Storm. Almost kills the Terap. Oh, so close from that +4 Torn. But just barely doesn't get the roll. It's going to go down to the Terap. And now you can save the Terap as a sack if you'd like. But at this point, probably just let it go. I'm going to Protect once, trying to get a little bit more Toxic chip. Ogerpon could just go for a U-turn, knock this out, is going to do so. Bleak Wind is so bad, dude. Yeah, there's a reason why Hurricane is like the boss click. But, you know, Bleak Wind, a little bit of a... I mean, it was strong, right? It did 98 to a bulky Terap, but 98 is not 99, unfortunately. Now, Glastrier is going to come in, Zarude, as the response is going to Terra Electric, knocks off the Eject Pack. So, trying to Eject Pack with CC, get some chip on the Zarude that sticks, but with a knockoff, not able to get out of there. And now the Zarude can just kind of go for a Bulk Up or a Synthesis. I'm going to elect to go for a Synthesis, keep it healthy as Cinderace comes in. You're not really fearing anything. There, you know there's no Wisp. You can just stand and go for a knockoff, but with a Rocky Helmet, now it might be in range of Double Edge. Mind Gaming doesn't want to stay in to find out. Gonna just go into Gliscor, safe play. You avoid the 2-hit KO. I mean, even it doesn't even get a chance to go for a second hit, as the Toxic will bring it down. Now Glastrier comes in, and like we've already shown, Zarude can take it on, but the Zarude's at 40%, 28 after hazards, so looks like something might have to die for this Glastrier, unless you want to just go Scizor. But I really feel like keeping Scizor in the back as a win condition does feel quite strong. We go for a Protect just to scout things out, but Glastrier goes for a Substitute. A total surprise click here, right? You see Eject Pack CC. Substitute is not really on your radar, is it? So a nice reveal here, catches the Protect. Plot Torn is bad, just use Pivot and abuse the best ability in the game. True. I mean, there's matchups for Plot Torn, for sure. Is this one of them? Maybe not, right? The Zarude, able to check it pretty comfortably. You have stuff that revenges it quite handily. The Iron Bundle. The Ditto can copy the boost. Yeah, maybe not the matchup for it. But either way, sub on the Gliscor Protect. Now U-turn comes out, does not break sub, and Scizor is going to be forced in as the response on the Icicle Crash. And so sub Icicle Crash CC. The last is probably going to be Swords Dance. But Mind Gaming thinks he even has time to defog before anything happens. I'm going to Bullet Punch, break the sub, and another sub. Trying to call like a U-turn here, but that's not going to happen. Scizor takes that quite comfortably. +2 CC, only doing 61. And a U-turn is going to finish it off, get off the field, into the Zarude. A little bit of leftovers farming. Now Dragonite comes in. Going to go for a knock. That's Choice Banded Dragonite, so knocks off the ban, but it does lock Outrage, which means Iron Bundle, the freest revenge of all time. Can just go for an Ice Beam, guarantee the Dragonite to go down. And now with Screamtail in, with Screamtail coming in so late into the game, you have to assume it's going to be a win condition set with booster speed, and here you do see the booster speed. Now it could be Bulk Up, it could be Calm Mind, but either way, there is that Ditto looming in the back, so you can't really boost up too much and expect to win. But at the same time, like, what are you supposed to do? Here we're going to go for a Calm Mind, but Bundle stays in to click Encore, and that should just be the game, because now you can just flip turn or U-turn into your Scizor or Gliscor, either one, and you just win the game. Another Calm Mind is forced here, and there will be one more turn after this that the Encore lasts for. So it gets the Toxic off, can go for a U-turn, probably into Scizor for a Bullet Punch, and with the Toxic chip, Bullet Punch chip, the Screamtail should basically go down, and at the end of the day, the bundle will be able to freeze dry the Ogerpon, and Mind Gaming takes this one quite convincingly, as he has done for the majority of the season. Alright, chooses to go Ditto, just to see the moves, but Sage does not give him the satisfaction, forfeits before he could see the moveset. And that's going to be 2-0 for Better Call Stall. As we go into Game 3, it's going to be Theodore Manny versus Hydra. Theo going to be on Better Call Stall. I believe one of the captains of this tour, of this team. And Hydra having a fantastic season of his own, but mostly coming from Swish. Here we see him meeting Theo in Gen 7. W LARP from Mind after the forfeit, so true. Tactical forfeit in case for a rematch to hide sets, literally. It's strategically optimal. But okay, for that to come into effect, you need to tie up the series. And trying to do that will be Hydra. Again, he's had a great season in Gen 8 in particular, but here, Gen 7 a little bit out of his element, but I'm sure he'll be fine. Theo using his classic stall, basically. And we'll see how he does. Everyone knows what Theo's going to do. It's just, are you prepared for it? Have you found the lines? So Sableye, Mega Sableye, is going to lead off into the Dragonite. Goes for a Hurricane, gets knocked off, but it reveals to be Z-move on the Dragonite. So Theo needs to scout this. You can't afford to let your Sableye take this Supersonic Sky Strike. And so Nidoqueen is going to be the pivot in. Catches the Z-move successfully. How much does it do? It brings it down to 20% with a Super Berry, able to negate much of that damage. And so Nidoqueen, not really too much worse for wear, able to force this out with the threat of Ice Beam. Goes into the Clefable. Dragonite actually stays in, not respecting the Ice Nidoqueen, maybe expecting rocks to go up if it stays in. But just got a Hurricane again into Clefable. Takes 48%, so this is like definitely more of the physically defensive Clefable side of things. But regardless, it's not a 2-hit KO, so Clefable able to just go for a Wish. Is going to be unaware, most likely, on a team like this. Gets the Wish in the air, and Sableye gets healed back up to full. Now we see Zap Cannon not only connect, but crit from the Dragonite, paralyzing the Sableye. Shout out Zooch. Yeah, awesome. But Sableye does trade this for a Toxic on the Dragonite. Now, Coco finds an entry point, but Nidoqueen able to switch on this no problem. Necrozma in, goes for a Calm Mind, but Latios able to come in, check that, threatening all sorts of things. Goes for a Toxic, but Dragonite comes in, absorbs that. But now you have to worry about a Draco Meteor, so I would expect to see a pivot out to Coco, if anything, if you're making this play as Hydra. We'll see if Theo calls this out. It does feel pretty obvious. So there is the Coco. Does not call it out, doesn't feel a need to play aggressive. Able to just stay in on the Coco next turn, go for a Roost, trying to scout out a U-turn to catch Nidoqueen. Instead catches a Nature's Madness, so no harm, no foul. Now to the Nidoqueen we go, seeing a Nature's Madness, and like, presumably you live in HP Ice from this range. So Nidoqueen able to go for a Hazard here, and it's going to be T-Spikes, and this is a really big deal. What was on the bench? There was a poison type on the bench. I forget exactly what it was, but I remember talking about it after the game. But Theo makes the call correctly that Hydra's not going to bring the poison type, and goes for the T-Spike, and this is going to hit 5 Pokemon. Quillfish, that's what it was, yes. Yeah, Quillfish, a reasonable mention to Mega Sableye, all things considered. But those T-Spikes are going to be absolutely insane here. And now goes for a Poison Fang on the Piloswine, gets the Toxic effect on the Curse. So this is a, Curse, EQ, Ice Shard, Piloswine, able to go for an Earthquake here, but with the Unaware Clefable, able to shrug that off. It's still a 2-hit KO, but after the Protect leftovers, it might be a roll at this point. Did 39 before, we're at 38. Not going to stay in to find out. Going to go into the Scizor. Takes 62. That's quite a lot of damage. But this Toxic is racking up. And now, I'm pretty sure you can just go for a U-turn as the Scizor. Or just go hard Torn. That works too. And yeah, you're going to see Ice Shard does not even do half. Able to U-turn. This is a very bulky Torn. Right, you saw Earthquake do so much to the Scizor, but the Ice Shard doing very little to Torn makes me think this is like more than max HP on the Torn. But Clefable comes in to farm more leftovers. You can Protect if you'd like to get more leftovers, but with Necrozma coming in, you want to respect the Calm Mind. Go straight to Scizor. Is this Scarf Scizor? Looks like it is. Able to outspeed and get Big Chip on the Necrozma into the Latios and actually catches the Dark Pulse, but it is Colbur Berry. So great prep from Theo as usual. And Necrozma is basically going to be in range of everything at this point. Goes for a Draco, knocks it out. In this game, expecting some insane Quick Feet Lanoon set to abuse the T-Spike. Yeah, I mean, potentially. But here, Coco comes in. Should force out this Latios. But actually, the Latios is just going to stay in and die. I guess you don't really have a safe switch in at this point. Now Clefable comes in. Facade Coco, able to take advantage of the T-Spike, and here reveals that it is Wild Charge last. So no Roost. But it is going to be potentially picking up another KO here. Goes for Wild Charge. Is going to 2-hit KO Sableye, but in the process, we're taking a lot of recoil. Pivots out into Nidoqueen on the Wild Charge. Trying to draw a Facade maybe back into the Sableye. You're sacking something, so you may as well try to pivot around and get the most Toxic Chip as possible. And now I think, yeah, we can just go back to Nidoqueen on the U-turn. I really got out of that one relatively unscathed as Theo. Now with Shark in, able to pick off the Nidoqueen. Gets that speed boost, but Torn, very bulky. It's at 84%, should be able to live quite easily. Go for U-turn. Chip this thing very low. In range of 3 more poison turns, there's 1. Another Protect will be 2. And then now, you could stay in as the Clefable. You could also just sack your Sableye. Don't really need it anymore. And he actually is going to sack the Sableye, but catches a Taunt instead. Trying to prevent the Clefable from wishing there, but instead Sableye comes in. Hurricane doesn't kill, but the Para is going to do its job, and Sableye will go down at the cost of some Toxic Chip. Now Torn in to farm some regen, get it all the way back up to basically full HP, able to take a Lanoon hit in the end game. Zap Cannon lands a little bit to the right. You actually see a Scarf Roost Scizor, right? Gotta be, right? Okay, we're locking into Roost, presumably. Which means Lanoon will have a setup opportunity. But with Clefable being unaware, even a +6 Lanoon, right? That's going to be ignored. And we can just kind of poison stall this out. Clefable able to just protect, wish protect, wish protect. We see Gunk Shot, so there is some hope, right? You could get the Gunk Shot poison, a crit. I think either or will be pretty much good enough here. Goes for Gunk, does not get either as a wish goes in the air. Another Protect surely coming. And Theo just needs to avoid a few turns of hacks here to take care of this Lanoon. There's another Gunk Shot, 46 this time. Does get the poison, but at this point you can't just go for the safe Moonblast. It is in range now, so Coco comes in at 23%. Should be totally fine to just sack this off and go to Scizor and Bullet Punch. There we go. That's going to be the game. Really clinical from Theodore Manny. Hydra, he tried his best, but that T-Spike, man, quite devastating. Wasn't able to recover in the face of that. And yeah, now we go into game 4. Currently 3-0 up for Better Call Stall. And this is semis versus a team that has not lost a series in the entire season. So feels nice getting that big lead early on. And now we're going to see Yurdunk's machine This has got to be Blitz, right? I swear he has a different nickname every week. This time, Yurdunk's Machine versus Celeste. And alright, we're using this Z Zygarde kind of like balance thing. It is Blitz, yep, classic. So it's like kind of a take on the Mega Venusaur Jirachi balance that we've seen way back in the day in Oras. Usually you'd see like a Talonflame in the Crobat slot. Scrafty, pretty reasonable and stuff like this. But the Zygarde with the Z move means that you do have some offensive pressure. It is quite hard to break a team like this. Fortunately for Celeste though, they do have some of the strongest breakers in the tier. Mega Mawile, you have Keldeo, you have Taunt Crook, Taunt Deoxys. All of these guys very strong into fat builds. Torn as well, able to do quite well into teams like this. Just kind of outlast it with Knock U-Turn Regenerator. Keep in mind this team was 0-4. My team all wanted to cancel after Usum got doubled. True, true. I'll keep that in mind. So this team hasn't won. Yeah. I mean, it is a really old team structure. Old, not really a compliment there. Where like you've definitely seen this before in like 2018, but it was okay back then because people didn't really know better. But like all of the reasons that I just said, right? Taunt Deoxys, Taunt Crook, Mega Mawile, stuff like Specs Keldeo is one prediction away from claiming. Like there's a reason why this thing kind of fell out of favor. So pretty funny that you're bringing it back here, but we'll see if it's able to pick up the win in this semifinals game. All right, Mew gonna lead off into the Crocodile. Could potentially be rocks from both sides, although you'd expect Jirachi to be the rocker on Blitz's side. On the other side, maybe Deoxys could be rocks, but Deoxys is also pretty potent at being a setup threat here. It is Z Deoxys on this draft, if I remember correctly. Z Torn and Z Deoxys. We have seen them pull out the Nasty Plot Z move Deoxys before in the season, so we'll see if they bring that out again. It seems like a pretty reasonable matchup for it. But Crook leads off, probably just going to be rocks as Wisp comes out from the Mew, but it's a Lumberry Crook, they are prepared for this, and Beat Up comes out. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 hits. Probably not going to KO the Mew, right? But it is going to get damn close. A next Wisp will mean that the next Beat Up will not kill, so may as well just take your rocks. And this Mew should be able to heal up here. Or just get rocks of its own before the Roar comes out. Totally fair. Now Crobat in. Gonna go for a Giga Drain, but Crook stays in to Roar again, I suppose. Reveals Life Orb on the Crobat. So more information for Celeste, but it's at the cost of your Crocodile. Feels like maybe we could have done something about that, but maybe in a special Crobat it is just hard to switch in, so I understand. Just trying to scout out the set. Jirachi in, should be able to pick off the Crook at this range, as Rotom Wash gonna come in, saves the sack, as U-turn into the Rocky Helmet gets clicked into Zygarde, the Dwagon. Threatening 1,000 arrows here. There is no resist on the roster. Just going to see Crocodile sacked off. Goes for a Toxic, which is a strange one. Trying to catch the Deoxys. Not going to be a big deal, as you can just arrows the next turn. But now Deoxys comes in, threatening the Ice Beam. But the fast Toxic, it's another Lumberry from Celeste, so they are very prepared. But Icy Wind, not even a 2-hit KO on the Zygarde, so the Toxic will be inevitable. Is this a recycled Deoxys? Looks like the answer is no, right? You see Spikes, Icy Wind, presumably Recover. The last... Okay, here's Taunt, so maybe it's not Recover. But the last is definitely not going to be Recycle or anything like that. So just gets up a bunch of layers, goes down to the Toxic. Okay, so Hazard Advantage Celeste, but a 2-mon advantage for Blitz. Will it be worth it? We'll see. Something's about to die here. It's going to be the Mew, as Agility Torn gets clicked. It's going to be quite hard to revenge, potentially. Jirachi comes in. It is Leftover Jirachi, threatening something like a Body Slam T-Wave, stuff like that. It's Z Keldeo, not Z Deoxys. Am I mixing it up with a different team? Because I've definitely seen a Z Deoxys in this tour. Maybe my bad. But okay. Torn going to taunt the Jirachi. Hope it's not Body Slam, but it is Body Slam. gets the paralysis, and yeah, that's a tough one. One full para. There's a Dark Pulse, but 31%, come on. Okay, flinch for a para, call it even. There's another para, yellow magic doing its thing. Jirachi able to come out of that one alive. Now Rotom comes in. At this point though, it is looking pretty bleak for Celeste. You can go Zygarde on the T-Wave, catches that, threatening 1,000 arrows. Doesn't kill the Rotom, funny enough. It actually is going to go down to HP Ice, which is a little bit of a Wilted Rose moment, but with the Rotom being so chipped, a special Crobat looks very threatening. Can just go for a Giga Drain here, knock out the Rotom. You're definitely going to be packing Heat Wave for the Mawile. That being said, Keldeo does live a hit here. Crobat does not have access to Hurricane in this gen, so an Air Slash probably not going to do it. This could also just be Scarf Keldeo, and it is Scarf Keldeo, but does not connect the Hydro Pump. At the end of the day, I don't think this like super matters, but obviously with the Giga Drain recovery, is going to live the next one. I think once the Crobat goes down to the Hydro Pump, you could just go Venusaur and win the game. I don't think it's really that deep. But not the world we live in either way. Crobat going to get Sucker Punched by the Mawile, but there is that Venusaur able to come in. Step on some spikes, but at the end of the day, it is still a Mega Venusaur with HP Fire or Ground, something like that. And now outplays the Sucker Punch, goes for a Synthesis. Yeah, but Sucker wouldn't have killed either way. More so just guarding against a crit there. And that's going to be the game. So Blitz brings his team up to 4-0. Now this is game point. As we see Rai versus A12. Now this is for the finals, right? If A12 wins, Better Call Saul is immediately pushed into finals. If Rai wins, they extend the series. Potentially they can come back and draw. They've done that before in the regular season, if I remember correctly. But we'll see. All right. Rai versus A12. This is Oras. Both of these guys really comfortable in this tier. A12 mostly known for his Diggersby, which is not the team he's using here, or at the very least the Diggersby is benched. I'm guessing this is not the Diggersby draft though, because there is a Garchomp on there. But Rai on the other side, using this Mega Altaria, kind of like it's offense for sure. We'll see. You can definitely build a bulky style with this, but offense is probably going to be more so the name of the game here. All right, Altaria is going to lead off, trying to get that Mega immediately, so you have a Garchomp switch in. A12 trying to lead off with the Garchomp, taking advantage of like the time before the Altaria Megas. You don't have any like resist to the stabs. But now, leading off Altaria, you're able to just Mega immediately, go for Hyper Voice, force that out. Tentacle comes in, potentially weak to an Earthquake, but not really going to stay in under the threat of Sludge Bomb. Goes into Empoleon, a nice double from A12, catches that with the Garchomp, but this could be Shuca Berry Ice Beam. Totally reasonable into a team like this. But it turns out we're just going to go Lando. A12 goes through the Earthquake anyways. Rai catches that, probably going to be rewarded with a knockoff into Zapdos, gets rid of the Chardy Berry. So a potential follow-up Rock Slide would to it KO from this range. Zap pressured to Roost here. Goes for an HP Ice instead. So Zap going to remain chipped unless it wants to heal on the Altaria, which, okay, they trade heals, so fair enough. Now we're going to see a switch to Spiritomb as Zapdos stays in. Goes for another HP Ice, but Spiritomb able to handle that. Next T-Bolt, not a 2-hit KO. Misses a Will-O-Wisp. That is a little unfortunate. You do really appreciate the long-term chip on Zapdos, but rest Spiritomb able to go back up to full HP as Heat Wave gets clicked, allowing for a Sleep Talk roll. Does connect the rest, so not great. T-Bolt is a 2-hit KO from here. You have one more Sleep Talk turn, and we pull rest again. Really unlucky from the Spiritomb. But we can just go to Altaria. So basically we've sacked our entire Spiritomb just to go back to the same mon that we switched out of before. And then not even roosting on the HP Ice. A12 doesn't even take the KO that he earned there. Eventually he will. So down goes the Altaria. Now Jolteon in. The only electric resist is Garchomp. Actually catches that immediately with an HP Ice. Is this Scarf Chomp? Don't want to find out. Switches to Lando. Gets immediately crit on a bulky Lando. That definitely mattered. And now because of it, the Garchomp is going to live, not have to kill itself on the next helmet hit. Jolteon in. If it is Scarf, it's locked to Aqua Tail, so no problem there. Goes for an HP Ice, but Scizor comes in, able to force this out. Goes for a U-turn on the Infernape. Now Tentacruel in. Could be Earthquake Infernape. We're going to see Garchomp pivot in on the Empoleon, so 8-12 getting a lot of turns right. A lot of value out of this 4% Garchomp here. And now there's no Earthquake immunity, so you can just kind of click it for free. If the Empoleon was shook, it would have stayed in earlier. So we know Earthquake is just absolutely safe. Now Jolteon in. Is this Scarf Chomp? Looks like no. You're going to go for a sub. Banking on it not being Scarf, you have to at this point. Gets a sub up on the switch. Sneasel takes a big hit. Knockoff going to break the sub, but the next T-Bolt should knock it out. There we go. And now what's going to check this Jolteon? Probably going to be the Scizor. Another U-turn, another day. Into the Infernape, but I think back into, I was going to say Tentacruel, but Bronzong also fine. Dodges another Wisp as it's Shuka-Berry Infernape. Now you don't have that for the Garchomp anymore. Another Wisp going to come out. Catches the Tentacruel this time. Now you see it's like a bulky Infernape. You don't mind going to Tentacruel. Not really fearing like a Choice Banded Earthquake or anything like that. You actually outspeed the Infernape with Tentacruel. I don't think that's Scarf Tentacruel. I think that's just a very bulky Infernape revealed by the U-turn damage. So Empoleon trying to revenge this Tentacruel, but not really threatened out at this point. You don't need the Tentacruel. So can just kind of fish for Scald Burns, allow the rocks to go up, no big deal. It was Scarf Tentacruel. Alright, fair enough. I guess I'm just a moron. Does eventually get the Scald Burn. Intentor's going to go down, but it has left its mark on the team. Infernape dead, Empoleon down to 24% after the burn. 23, my bad, rounding error. But Zapdos able to come in, goes for a Heat Wave as long as it connects. It's a great play. Jolteon, can it solo the rest? Hold up, a workup could be interesting. Heat Wave comes out, not a 2-hit KO. You see leftovers, it's able to get a little bit more recovery. The game did not want Rye to play, for sure. Now Bronzong comes in, it is Earthquake. Does it kill Jolteon? Probably. +1 T-Bolt, not even close to a KO. And there's a crit just to rub salt in the wound. Damn. So apparently it's Banded Chomp, and the crit didn't matter versus Lando, but I think even Banded Chomp into a Rocky Helmet Lando. Rocky Helmet implies it's very bulky, so I'd expect that to matter at the end of the day. It's going to be more than just max HP, most likely. But with that, 8-12 earns his team a spot in the finals. But folks, this series is not done. We're 5-0 up, but they played out the series. Now we have Olivia versus Ryan and Ditto. I believe this is a rematch from earlier in the season. I think these guys played week 2, was it? I want to say week 2. Oh, hey, Ryan and Ditto. Week 1. Okay, yeah, week 1. I know it was early in the season, but this is a rematch of players. Is it a rematch of drafts? I don't think so. But okay, Ryan and Ditto versus Olivia. Let's see how this one goes. Ryan using this Roaring Moon Tarap team. Feels like it was kind of ported straight from SV in terms of like maybe last year. But with a Mega Arrow and a Muck on there, you know? Whereas on the other side, you see much more like a National Dex looking kind of team with the Mega Gardevoir, the Darkrai, Lando T. By the way, Lando T and Darkrai, both of these guys really strong in Nat Dex. A lot of people I've been talking to for Nat Dex because there's a Nat Dex tour that is featuring draft on Smogon, so people are drafting for that right now. And from what I heard, Darkrai and Lando T should both be going round 1 is the consensus right now. So, should be pretty scary facing both of them in a single week. But let's see how Ryan and Ditto goes about it. See Gardevoir lead off into the Alolan Muck. Great lead for Ryan, able to force this out into Chum Bucket Kitty. Catches it with a Toxic, but you're going to be forced out into Corviknight, no problem. If Gravity comes out, you'll play around it then, probably just pivot to Keldeo. But as rocks go up, and a defog, so basically the same thing we transpose into that, but now Keldeo can come in, or the Trapagos, that works too if you don't really need the shell for anything, which, looking at it, you don't really need shell for anything. So pretty comfortable just taking this trade. It is leftovers, so leftovers protect. Really nice. Gets a lot of toxic chip on this Lando, and potentially could even set up rocks as the trap. Nothing else really wants to do so. So there it is. Rocks go up as Gardevoir comes in. Goes for the Mega and the Will-O-Wisp, 100% accurate in gravity, but gets traded out with a Toxic. So Wisp Guard, probably going to be your main way of hitting the Corviknight. Here's a Protect, but Heal Bell gets clicked, cures the burn, or the poison, sorry. Yeah, National Dex Lando T is amazing with Polished Knock, yeah, and Rai gets T-Bolt to hit some of its better checks. Yeah, for sure. Both of them very scary in this format. Kind of like shells of their former selves in SV Paldea decks, but here they have all of their tools. Now Muck gonna come in on the Gardevoir, which clicks Taunt this time. Probably just gonna see a knockoff at this point. You know the guard is not interested in staying in. Goes for Poison Fang actually, and connects into the Aloe. Alright, Poison Fang is interesting. I think that's the second Poison Fang we've seen from them in the series. The other one being Theo's Nidoqueen. But okay, Muck does get the job done. Poisons the Aloe. We're going to see a flip turn into Gardevoir on the Muck. Feels like a little bit of a hot take. Here's a Protect. But at this point, like Muck, I mean, this is what it's here for. You can just stay in, take the burn, fish for a poison on the guard. 26% plus a 50% chance of poison, plus presumably Poison Touch on top of it. Feels pretty likely to get a status here. Here's a crit and a Toxic. And Gardevoir is going to be basically dead. You can't afford to Heal Bell in front of this. So Aloe comes in on the next Poison Fang. Maybe you can get a Wish flip turn into the Gardevoir, but with the Aloe being faster than the Muck, you can't really do that in front of it. So gonna see a flip into Cyclizar. Catches another knock. This Muck has got a lot of work done. Poisons on everything, a knock on Cyclizar, a knock on Aloe. Really feels like it's done a lot here. The spin does come out, so rocks are removed. But this is going to give Corv a turn to go for the U-turn, and now Ryan Ditto has the momentum. Gets the Keldeo in on the Alomola. Usually when you see Keldeo coming in on Aloe like this, you're going to see sub Calm Mind. We'll see if that's the case. There is the sub. Aegislash comes in, and Aegislash into a sub Pokemon, always really awkward as the AG user. Goes for a Swords Dance, but unfortunately gets Scald Burned immediately. But even then, right, not a whole lot you can do into the face of Substitute, because like stuff like this, is the Keldeo gonna sub? Because if that happens and you go for a King Shield, you're just boned. But if you attack and a Scald comes out, you're also just boned. It's like a really, it's a 50-50, but it's one where the Keldeo basically wins all the time, has like very low risk, whereas Aegislash is fighting for its life every turn. And with the burn on top of it, there's like really no risk for the Keldeo. Back to Aloe. This is just going to allow another substitute though. Or Calm Mind, that works too. I do like Calm Minding here over sub, and the reason why is because now, with a Calm Mind up already, sure, you can get the slow flip turn into the Gardevoir, heal it up with the Wish, but by the time you do that, this Keldeo is going to be +2, able to tank the Hyper Voice and trade into the guard favorably. So sure, you can't prevent the guard from basically getting full healed, but what Olivia can't guard against is just 2 Scalds at +2. Hyper Voice going to do a lot, but not quite enough. And now Scald will be taking a KO. It's going to be the Aegislash. Alright, goes down here. But now Cyclizar comes in, and at +2, Vacuum Wave is just going to knock this out. Do we have an answer for the Keldeo? It feels like the answer is no. A Darkrai goes down. The Lando, we revealed, is not Scarf or anything like that. And that's game. So Keldeo, I mean, we've gotten used to seeing it do this thing in SV Paldea decks, but now we see a Calm Mind sweep in Nat decks. So good stuff from Ryan and Ditto. A 6-0 and keeps the streak alive. 6-0 for Better Call Saul as we go into Game 7. Vacuum actually makes this guy so broken. It's really good into the dark types. More so a big deal in Paldea decks, but definitely was handy into the Darkrai for Nat decks as well. Alright. Game 7, we have Gen 4 draft. Honestly, I'm not going to pull up the matchup because Cinevrath didn't send it to me. And series is already over. We're just here for the fun of it right now. Violet River versus 100p. Two very strong players with strong results so far in the tournament. 100p gunning for that MVP slot. I just said spot and slot at the same time. But gunning for that MVP spot. Going into this game, I believe 100p is 6-1. Violet River, I'm not 100% sure. Actually, I can check. I have the technology. Violet River going into this is 5-2. So two really strong players going at it. And should be a good one. Alright, Infernape leads off into the Clefable. You could say a favorable lead for Violet River. Goes for close combat, but he's prepared. The Choppleberry makes it live the close combat, goes for a T-Wave, and now this Infernape is well and truly neutered. Hippowdon able to come in on this, 38%, able to shrug that off, potentially get rocks up here. As Blastoise comes in, just gonna go for the slack off, safe play, no real downside. And now it's a little bit of a mini game, right? Clefable is really low, and 100p really wants to heal it up, but you can't heal it up versus a ton of stuff. So you need to find the opportunity to get your Keldeo back up. Suicune is going to be the response for the Blastoise as Rain Dance comes in. Calm Mind Suicune, but a Roar into Hitmontop. Okay, threatening a Surf here would do big damage, so probably back to Suicune. Violet River catches that with the Venusaur switch. There's a Keldeo instead of Clefable. Am I just cooked? Sorry, it's been a long week. I'm a little tired. My bad. You know what I mean. Alright, but Venusaur able to catch the Suicune on the double. Should be able to force this out. But actually, just going to stand and duke it out with Ice Beam as a Swords Dance comes out. No leftovers. Could be... Okay, Rest Chestoberry. Or Lum, same thing. Able to heal up, but threatened out by the Metagross Zen Headbutt. Yo, Gen 4 Keldeo would definitely be broken though. Let me know. Okay, so Battle of the Steel Psychic types here. Bronzong coming in on the Metagross takes 8%. Really nice. But now as rocks go up, this is the chance for Clefable to heal up. So really nice from 100p. Gets that turn right. And now Clefable is back in action. Infernape in, but we've already revealed Hippowdon takes this guy's lunch money. But is going to get burned for its troubles. Probably going to see a rocks trade here if I had to guess. And then now if the Blastoise wants to spin, I would expect the Hitmontop able to spin as well. Or you just go Clefable. That works too. Clefable in Sand has been a massive problem for teams all season. And here, Infernape going to come in on the Seismic Toss. Takes 40% from that plus Sand. And Hitmontop going to be the pivot in. With Hippowdon burned, you don't really want to be taking close combats if you can help it. So Hitmontop comes in, tries to find a spin opportunity. But Haunter comes in to block the spin. Alright, so keeps those rocks up. Goes for a Sucker, but does not connect as Trick is clicked. Takes the Chestoberry from the Hitmontop, tricks it a Choice Scarf. So Rapid Spin, Sucker Punch, CC, and Rest is almost surely going to be the set. So now, this Haunter is pretty free to just click whatever it wants as long as it's not an attacking move. There's nothing really that Hitmontop can do about it. Goes for a Wisp, but Clefable in, can go for a Seismic Toss. Reveal the last is going to be Snorlax. So Lax should be good enough to, force out this Clefable. A double to Infernape, but that's going to catch a Hippowdon. Slack off is going to be fine. Rindoberry means the Grass Knot not going to be too big of an issue. Probably just going to go for an Earthquake here as the Hippo. No, goes for another Slack off. Predicts the switch out, I suppose, into the Blastoise. Now, probably going to see Clefable in. A good double to Snorlax keeps the offensive pressure up. force that out. But again, Hippowdon can just come in, and it's been really hard for a lot of teams to break this kind of like Clefable Hippowdon combination. Better Call Saul has been using it, and also who else has been using it? I believe it is the Ragey Bolts that used it. Is that right? Yeah, Ragey Bolts. Yeah, clean. And it's been looking really strong in DPP. And you can see why, right? Clefable able to blank so much, and with a combination of knockoff, sand, seismic toss, and the reliable recovery, as well as it's immune to T-Wave, like effectively, it's just really hard to remove. Like here, you had a fist plate close combat lead into it, and it still was able to get the job done. So at a certain point, like, what can you really do about this Clefable? Goes for a counter on the Lax, but I'm not going to catch the Metagross as a trick comes out instead. Now Clefable can just come in. Bronzong in, you want to scout this out as the Clefable. You don't want your Clefable to be exploded on. Okay, Hitmontop going to get sacked off to the Boom. Oh, that is tough for Violet River. Now Clefable again comes in. This time, no fear of the Boom. T-Wave comes out as Infernape switches in, takes some sand, but now it's pretty simple to just click Seismic Toss as the Clefable, get some chip on the Bronzong. Now you probably respect the Boom. Yeah, just go Suicune. At this point, the only thing that's killing Clefable is Explosion or maybe Swords Dance Venusaur. Those two are the last remaining threats. So as long as you can manage those, should be pretty simple to coast to a win as 100p. You're going to see offensive Suicune, Calm Mind 3 attacks, looks like it, is going to HP Grass the Blastoise. Your knockoff on the Bronzong, so now no more leftovers, that's a big deal. Goes for a Seismic as Violet River tries to predict the switch out, but even then, like, what does Infernape even do? I'm not sure. Zong back in, trying to threaten the explosion. Doubles to the Blastoise, catches the Hippowdon. Now Hippo, after those rocks and burn, is going to be quite low. A Roar, gets some more hazard chip, this time on the Suicune. Alright. You expect to see him HP Grass, so Haunter comes in, but Ice Beam, a nice mid-ground on the switch, covers the switch to Venusaur or Haunter pretty reasonably, and you actually outspeed, which we saw due to the sand, right? So no risk there. Suicune able to just handle the Haunter. So Venusaur, gonna go for Sleep Powder. 100p chooses Metagross as the sack fodder for Sleep. Stays in trying to burn a turn, but with Blastoise in, you probably just go Clefable again. There's nothing really that Blastoise can do to hurt Clefable, at least not very badly. T-Wave comes out, again, trying to threaten the Boom. 100p just needs to play this one safe. Hippowdon in on the Boom, and that should be game. Violet River really running out of steam at this point. Here's a Rain Dance, but with Thunder Wave on the Blastoise, you're able to just kind of beat it 1v1. Knockoff gets rid of the leftovers. Roars it out, but feels like it's just temporary. Arrow in. You just go back to Suicune. Another Roar could be nice. Another Roar is clicked, so get some more hazard chip. Metagross in. We're just going to go back to the Suicune. Eventually you will get full parried. In Clefable in, you can just click Seismic Toss. I'm not going to bring it down to Torrent range. So Torrent in Rain probably does do a significant amount to Clefable, but outside of that, it means it's 20%. Which means Torrent in Rain is doing 45. Even then, not super big damage. And it looks like 100p able to just coast to a win at this point. A nice double to Venusaur, goes for Swords Dance, but you can just stand in T-Wave this, and that should be game, honestly. Goes for another Swords Dance, trying to get super big on it. Goes for a Rest. This Clef can't technically 1v1 this Venusaur, but forcing the Rest is as good as anything, as it allows you to go into Aerodactyl for free and just fire off a Wing Attack, easily 2-hit KOing the Venusaur, and that should be the game. So well played from 100p, and that is 7-0 in the series. Now the question is, can they sweep the semifinals game? Now in the history of Draft League, right? Ever since tours have made the switch to best of 8, there has never been a sweep, just like a full sweep. And here we are in the semifinals against, a team that's undefeated, and we're on the verge of sweeping 8-0. So let's see how this one goes. We have Amira versus Fuckass 100p. Who is this again? Someone remind me. I suppose I can just check. This is Aonfa. Alright. Yeah. So, Amy getting her second starting game. It's 100p, duh. I think you'll find we just saw 100p play. So, if this is also 100p, I think they would get banned. So, anyways, game 8. Black-White. Archeops lead versus Azelf. Gonna be Scarf Archeops into what appears to be a very bulky Azelf. Yeah, T-Wave onto the Electros and rocks going up. U-turn doesn't even kill the Azelf. And Archeops is like the only option we have here. Takes rocks, and Defeatist is coming pretty soon. You don't have removal on this team. Oh, it does say in the name. You're right. My bad. Okay, Girder in, but Spiritomb able to check this thing quite comfortably. But Girder's just going to go for a raw bulk up in front of it. Takes a Psychic, 35%. And you're going to see the plan here is to Foresight into Drain Punch, which actually looks pretty strong here, right? Once you Foresight, Drain Punch becomes super effective. You're able to get back all of your HP. Pretty interesting set. Unfortunately, though, bang! Shout out to Black-White. Now Kyurem comes in, is Choice Specs, as you can see from it doing 82% to Spiritomb. And the Ice Resist, not really much to speak of. There's an Infernape if you count that. I don't really count that as a Specs Kyurem answer, so... yeah. Now the Infernape comes in as a check, but I presume you're just going to sack the Azelf here. It's at 3%, Rock's already up, kind of did its job. You can now use it as the Infernape sack fodder, and that's going to be 2 trades for 1 basically in Mons, but it does feel like Aonfa is in the driver's seat. Here, Rotom Wash able to come in. Pretty free Volt Switch, right? There's no ground type here. Goes for Reflect instead. I would have loved to see a Volt Switch, but HP Fire able to chunk the Ferrothorn, so I suppose you don't mind this interaction. Now we see a Protect on the Volt Switch. But with Leftovers and Leech Seed, you're able to live the next HP Fire, so just going to stay in, go for a Hazard of your own. This is very important to limit the Specs Kyurem. Really need that guy to not have unlimited switch-ins. Now, Excadrill going to come in on the Leech Seed, and now, like, how are you supposed to stop the Rapid Spin? This is a really big problem. You see Protect trying to get more recovery, but Sword Stance Excadrill on the Protect means now... with Moldbreaker EQ, is kind of just a KO unless you go hard Archeops. And Amy is going to go hard Archeops. Do we see? Does Aonfa call this? He does not. So Archeops able to live another day, and with Leech, able to stay outside of that Defeatist range. Goes for an Earthquake, but with Reflect, I mean, you can't stop the Rapid Spin. So it is going to go off. Reflect does go down, but now we're locked into Earthquake. Could have gone Rotom there, I think, was totally reasonable, but instead we're going to sack the Excadrill. Now Rotom comes in, goes for HP Fire, predicting Ferrothorn. And now another Reflect goes up. At this point, Rotom is like a threat by itself. Right? You don't really need to Volt Switch to anything else when Rotom itself is putting in this work. Interesting enough, we're not going to Kyurem Black on the Rotom. Makes me think this is probably like a Scarf Kyurem, trying to keep it in the back as something like a check to the other dragons. Ferrothorn does get the leech off, but okay, we're gonna get a switch to Kyurem. Do we get the Protect play? We get the Protect play right as the Kyurem. comes in for a KO with Ice Beam, knocks out the Electros, and now with Reflect Up, Kyurem Black comes in. But, I mean, with Reflect Up, this Kyurem essentially has a Haban Berry on it. I'm curious, does it even die to a Scarf Kyurem? You're gonna see Outrage come out. It lives. Ice Beam gonna knock out the Kyurem in return. And at this point... Oh no. Are we not faster than everything already? What are we flame charging for? Trying to cover like a Scarf Haxorus or something? I guess, but that's not gonna kill the Kyurem. Okay, we do get in Blaze range, which is interesting. Maybe you wanted to take that hit to get into Blaze range. The freeze doesn't matter because you can just Flare Blitz and thaw yourself. No problem. Modest Infernape could be. Wilted Rose, yeah. But now Haxorus comes in. Haxorus should just live any hit. It's actually Scarf Haxorus outspeeding +1 Infernape. So we see Flame Charge Trick Room Infernape here. Is going to go down to the Scarf Haxorus, and now Archeop's coming in with Defeatist. Goes for a Tailwind, but we're playing into a Ferrothorn Tailwind endgame. Probably not, right? Probably not. Yeah, not even going to outspeed the Rotom. And that's going to be game, right? Stone Edge not going to crit here, and Archeops goes down for the 8-0 sweep. God damn. I mean, that's about as dominant of a series you can ever ask for, right? 8-0. So, Better Call Saul will be advancing to the finals. Yeah. At some point, right? On the losing end, like, sure, maybe Better Call Saul got a little bit lucky here and there. But when you're getting 8-0'd, there's no excuse, right? They're just better. And that's going to be the case here. So, Stall moves on, and Plunders are eliminated. As we move on to the next series, this is going to be Flex Appeal versus Spectral Thieves. All right. So here we have Wyatt versus Toxic. And Wyatt has been piling this team for a few games now. Yeah, Dookie the Cofagrigus. And he's kind of earned himself the nickname of the Dookie Whisperer. Now, it feels like every time you put a Cofagrigus in this guy's hands, he just knows exactly how to use it. And this is going to be no different here. So this is a team that we built. It's going to be... let's see if I can remember. This was a week ago. I believe this is going to be Choice Banded Weavile, right? Because you're able to get the Trap on Lottie, among other things. The strong Ice Shard is really nice into Agility Thunderous. Scarf Crook, the likes. You have a really powerful knockoff, which kind of kills everything besides the Klefki. And if the Klefki does come in, here's the idea with the team, right? The only rocker on this team is Crocodile. And when Crocodile tries to find an opportunity to set rocks, we can go to our Lando, which is going to be like quite bulky, and we can match rocks, right? And then when Klefki comes in and sets spikes, we can go to our Ferrothorn and trade spikes that way. So there's no way for Toxic to get a hazard advantage on us, which is really important, because I think if the hazards are matched, our team generally will beat their team. And so that's kind of what this build is built around, really, is trading hazards and then getting our Choice Band Weavile and our Choice Band D-Knight in position to succeed. And then we also have this Cofagrigus. I forget exactly what kind of set this is, so we changed it a few times throughout the week, but I'm sure we'll find out. All right, Landorus is going to lead off into the Thunderous. We get the Imprison on the Hidden Power Ice. So we actually wall this thing for life. Get the free rocks up as Lottie comes in, but we have a DNC to pivot in on this. It is Defog Lottie, but all that does is allow our DNC to come in for free. Hidden Power Steel comes out, but we do live that and knock it out in return. So Latios has been dealt with. Crook in, but we can just go Lando. Again, this is kind of the plan, right? We go Landorus, we trade rocks. They're afraid to click rocks, right? Because we have Imprison. We revealed that we can block their rocks here if we want to. So they go Thunderous, which also doesn't cover Imprison. So maybe this Crook just doesn't want to take a Focus Blast or something. But I think you could infer as Toxic this is going to be Earth Power HP on the Landorus as the last two moves. But hey, he went Thunderous. And here he's going to win the tie this time. Both of these are max speed. So both sides want a tie. Now Diancie comes in to revenge this Thunderous. We go for a Moonblast, does 86%, gets a drop, but now the Thunderous is dead to hazards. There's no more removal once the Lottie died. So Thunderous is dead. It's just a hazard sack at this point. So Fiend the Ferrothorn comes in, Leech seeds the Klefki, and now we're able to trade the Spike as Thunderous is sacked off to give a free switch, but with the double hazards up, okay. Cofagrigus comes in, and here we can just go for a Leech Seed, but it's actually a relatively fast Cofagrigus with Substitute, able to avoid the Leech Seed. And now this is a little bit scary. We go into our Dragonite with Multiscale intact. No problem. Actually, no, this wasn't Choice Banded Dragonite. I remember now. It is Life Orb. So we break it with our Outrage, and now the next one should do a lot of damage. They could go Klefki if they want to, which they do. They save the Cofagrigus. And now Outrage does end. We do get confused. And now in Oras, hitting yourself in confusion is a 50-50 chance. But Wyatt is willing to take that risk. Goes for a Fire Punch, which is going to put Klefki in range of everything. So with Reflect up, now we can go into Cofagrigus. Totally fine. They make a nice play into Crocodile. We're just going to make the switch into Ferrothorn once again. Knockoff doing very little to us. Now we can just go for a Leech Seed. Totally fine. Clef goes down. But this is going to be another entry point for Cofagrigus. But they elect not to take it for some reason. They go Lopunny instead. Which allows us to basically save a sack here. We go into Cofagrigus on the HJK. Spread Mummy to it, so now no more Scrappy, can't kill us. They go hard Cofagrigus. We go for a Wisp as it covers everything, but unfortunately we do miss. But our Cofagrigus is faster than theirs, which allows us to get this chip to allow this endgame where Weavile comes in, goes for a knockoff, knocks out the Cofagrigus. It was in hazard range anyways. And then now, with Rocks and a Spike up, all we need to do is sack Fiend, the Ferrothorn, to get a little bit of Iron Barb's chip. And at this point, I mean, game's done. We go Dragonite, E-Speed, knock this out. Crook comes in, is going to Intim us, but the combination of E-Speed and Ice Shard will be able to pick this off. So really clean from Wyatt. He's been piloting this team very well this entire season, and in playoffs, he once again makes it happen with this Weavile team. And bang! That's going to be 1-0 for the Flex Appeal going into Game 2. Alright, now we have Fat Luigi, who has been having a absolutely stellar breakout performance. This is his first team tour, and going into this game, he is 5-1, believe it or not. We picked up this guy for 6k, really incredible scout. Really happy with our choice to pick him up. And he's playing against Rabush, or Ryan, another guy who's having a great season, so it should be a good game. They're using this Darkrai Treads Apple team. It's like double dark, you have your hazard stack, there's a Rotom there for spin block. They didn't bring it, so our Cyclizar should be able to spin away the hazards if we want to. But yeah, that's pretty much it. You're going to see in this game we have Terra Fire on the Raging Bolt. This is to basically nuke the treads on the switch in. You see their fire resists are not very good, especially into Raging Bolt, right? Samurott doesn't really want to come in, right? So you're going to see we have Sunny Day on Jirachi and Sunny Day on the Lando. This is going to boost up not only our Raging Bolt, but also our Slitherwing, right? Both of them have photosynthesis and benefit from the sun, and this allows us to get a really powerful Weather Ball. with the Raging Bolt. So you'll see that come into play here. In terms of Terras, we have, yeah, Fire on the Bolt, and then the Hydrapple is going to be Fairy. So they lead off with Hydrapple. They don't really want to be caught lacking that Fairy typing, so leading makes sense. Just go hard Jirachi on the Terra Blast. This should be a pretty comfortable Rocks position for Jirachi. Instead we go for a Body Slam. Maybe it's Rocks on Lando. I'm not 100% sure. But Ogerpon in on the Ceaseless Edge. Able to force this out with a U-turn as Okidoki comes in. We're back into Jirachi. Now this is kind of threatening a Psychic move into the Okidoki. That being said, Psychic is kind of a hard click to make into this team with Treads and Double Dark potential to come in. Uxie as well. That being said, why risk your Okidoki when you have all of these bountiful switch-ins to Jirachi? As you do see Uxie come in on the Sunny Day. And now Slitherwing in, gets that Photosynthesis attack boost as rocks go up, and now it's just a pretty free U-turn. If Hydrapple comes in, no problem. We get that chip, we go into Raging Bolt, and now this Weather Ball is looking really scary for Ryan. Does 55 to Hydrapple, revealing this is an Assault Vest variant. Forces us into Ogerpon, but Power Whip will knock it out from here, so they are forced out. We go for a Play Rough. Just trying to catch one of the dark types, maybe. But Okidoki comes in instead, goes for close combat. Potentially going to be a 2-hit on a Jirachi if it's like Scarf, which like it might be. But okay, Lando can come in. Finally able to get up Rocks of our own, looks like. As Samurott going to be the answer. Can just kind of U-turn on that. It is J-Ricky Citrus Berry, so that's nice for them. Going to Slitherwing on the next Ceaseless Edge, so now 2 layers up plus Rocks, but the U-turn is going to knock it out. Now just go Lando. Darkrai in, gonna force an Ogerpon sack. But now this should be a pretty comfortable opportunity for our Salt Vest Cyclozar to get a spin-off. So lives the Ice Beam quite comfortably, but we get Frozen, which is a little bit unlucky, no doubt. But it's okay, we can just go Raging Bolt on the next Ice Beam, and this gets frozen as well, and that's going to be game, right? So what was looking to be a little bit of a close game, a good game from both sides, I would say, kind of robbed of that end game with double freeze, and at this point there's not really a whole lot to do, right? Not able to get the spin off, not able to even get our breaker in for another hit, and yeah, Fak is just gonna lose to this. Like, I can't blame him, honestly. What are you supposed to do? You got double frozen. So that's gonna be the game. Darkrai just able to clean with Ice Beam, but bit of an unlucky one. What can you do? So that's gonna bring the series to 1-1 as we go on to game 3, which is going to be Jake versus Void of Darkness. Alright, Jake is using this Lando Gallade team. I think this team is like quite strong. It's kind of an upgraded version of the Judgment Day ORAS team that Jake was piloting in the previous season of DCL. Was it Jake piloting it, or was it someone else on his team? I know Jake had a really strong record there, but I don't know if he was playing ORAS or not. He might have been playing Sun and Moon. Regardless, it's a variation of that team. On the other side, we see kind of this, I don't know what exactly to call this, but Volt Turn, Spikes, you got your Breaker Azu, you got your Cleaner, Lopunny, pretty standard Volt Turn kind of stuff. Jake was mainly Usum, I think. Yeah, I think I remember him using like Mega Sceptile a lot. Could be wrong, but that's what my memory is telling me. Anyways, let's take a look at this game here. Game 3. Landorus going to lead off into Landorus. We see our Intimidate is first, so no risk of a faster HP Ice. Can just go for a safe U-turn into Blastoise. Covers an opposing HP Ice, covers rocks as we can spin, and they go for a knockoff, which we do get to Helmet at least once. Goes for an Ice Beam, predicting the Roselia to come in, but that is going to be max Spadef. Goddamn. Spikes go out, but knockoff going to get rid of the Eviolite, and now Roselia will be taking some real damage. U-turn gets rid of that Leech Seed into the Metagross on the Synthesis turn. And now Hydreigon trying to come in on the Zen Headbutt, instead going to catch some rocks. Goes for a Toxic, predicting a switch to Sylveon, but Hammer Arm Metagross able to just trade HP here. Hydreigon though is Rocky Helmet with quite a lot of bulk on it, so is able to kind of 1v1 the Metagross here with the combination of Roost and Helmet. Able to like kind of recover all of the damage of Hammer Arm, and so yeah, Metagross is going to stay in and just hit it to keep it low. But now Lando comes in, and you're going to see Hydreigon actually eats that up, which is kind of insane. We get a U-turn to Gallade here, catches a Toxic, but now the Hydreigon is finally going to go down. Even with Aura Speed mechanics, not going to outspeed our Gallade. Goes down to Superstar. Now Landorus in, gets the Intim. We could just go to our own Lando on, you know, a U-turn. Totally fine. Now Azumarill comes in, the big scary threat. Blastoise immediate pivot on the Play Rough, and 53 looks like it could be quite an offensive Azumarill. Get the Rapid Spin off, so no more spikes for now. Gets the Thundurus in for free. Can just fire off a Thunderbolt if you'd like into the Raikou, no problem. And this Thundurus is actually Assault Vest, so we don't really get forced out by Raikou, which is pretty nice. Get a slow U-turn on the Roselia into Gallade. And now Gallade is looking really threatening. Can go for an Ice Punch. With no Eviolite, Roselia will be going down to that. Now with Raikou coming in, there's a few plays that can be made. You can go Sylveon, you can go Lando. Opts to go Lando on the Shadow Ball, catches that correctly. And now can, you know, just go for a double out into the Sylveon. Didn't necessarily want to stay in thanks to the Swift drop and go for a U-turn, not risking a Scarf Raikou there. But here you're going to see Lando switches before the Raikou, so Raikou is confirmed not Scarf. Our Lando is Scarf here. So Sylveon in, Earthquake does basically nothing, and Hyper Voice does quite a lot. So, yeah. Lopunny in on the Wish turn, potentially threatening an Encore, so we're going to see a switch to Lando trying to catch that, and he actually does catch that Encore, and in the process gets to heal up the Lando all the way up to full, goes for an Earthquake, which does allow the Lopunny to go for a Healing Wish. So now the Lando that was dead to rocks can now come back. And so now Void does have an Earthquake switch in once again. But it's okay, we can just sack our Gallade as rocks go up, so it's not even a sack at this point. Azumarill comes in on the predicted Ice Punch, which Jake does go for. EQ does pretty much nothing, and Hyper Voice does a lot. Difference of 5%. The difference is Sylveon can recover that HP very easily, whereas Lando, that chip is permanent. Either way, Azu able to Jet here, and now Sylveon in. If I remember correctly, this was like a physically defensive Choice Band Azumarill. So that's an interesting one. So Sylveon able to take advantage of the Aqua Jet lock, go for a Wish, and with a Wish in the air, you don't really fear anything here. Just go for a Hyper Voice. And as you can see here, Earthquake does barely anything, but Hyper Voice does a lot. Yeah. Once again, can just throw a Wish in the air. This time a Protect is in order, so just going to go ahead and do that. And now with Leftovers, you're able to get to a quite healthy amount of HP, and Void is just going to forfeit. There were crit odds here, but all things considered, Jake was in a very dominant position. Kind of crazy to forfeit in a playoffs game like that, but we'll take it. All right. So we go up 2-1 in the series as we move on to Game 4. And it's going to be Wombo versus Glop. Now this one was an absolute banger. As a spectator, really down to the wire, really fun watch. All right. So we see a swish, almost mirror, right? You see the Coco, Victini on both sides. Obviously the supporting pieces are a bit different, but yeah. How we mentioned Void predicting the stall 8-0, that is kind of aura. I'm not going to lie. So we'll talk about it briefly here. On the thread, for DWL semifinals on the Smogon forums. You know how they sometimes do like predictions? Well, Void put one there that was Better Call Saul 8-0, and turns out he was right on the money. So that is kind of crazy. Hey, it can happen. Right. But Glop versus Wombo. Well, let's just look at the game. So Hawlucha's going to lead off into the Swampert Misto Flip. See, U-turn from the Hawlucha, it is Mold Breaker, so you never have to worry about the Electric Seed kind of setup sets. With Mold Breaker, U-turn like that, I think that reveals to be max attack into our Swampert set. You expect this Hawlucha to be something like Choice Scarf, something to outspeed the Coco with Poison Jab, consistent revenge kill on stuff like that. DD Dragonite, you hit pretty hard with Brave Bird. But yeah, Misto Flip, just gonna go for the Misto Flip onto the Starmie. It is Rocky Helmet, so punishes the Misto Flip there. But Coco is able to come in, go for a Nature's Madness, trying to predict the Steelix. But instead the Starmie is just gonna stay in and flip turn to Steelix itself. Right, Rotom Chud can come in, and here, this is really important this turn. Rotom is going to go for a Trick, and it's not a Trick Scarf, it is a Trick Lagging Tail. So now, this Victini is slower than Swampert, it's slower than Rotom, slower than everything. And so now, we're able to just go for a really safe Volt Switch, get Chip on this Victini into Swampert, and whereas normally we'd be afraid of like a Energy Ball follow-up, not really the case right now. Can't just go for a free flip turn on the Starmie, keep it low, and Rotom able to go for another Volt Switch. Steelix doesn't really want to come in on Rotom, so that makes Volt Switching really free. Goes for a Defog instead, gets rid of the rocks, totally fair click. Another Volt on Victini into our own Victini. Catch the Blue Flare, and now Choice Band V-Create is going to 2-hit KO this thing. Blue Flare only does 36, goes for a Protect, but even with the speed drops, thanks to the Lagging Tail, we're able to force a KO with Choice Banded V-Create. And Victini's going to go down. The scheduling on this game was so bad that I was alerted to it. Was it? I don't remember. But okay, Rotom Mow comes in to respond to the Coco. Takes absolutely nothing from Thunderbolt. And Dazzling Gleam only does 28. Leaf Storm though, quite a lot of damage. Going to force a Roost this next turn. A double to Cobalion. Now Cobalion is going to be Assault Vest in this game, as you're going to see 31%, but the T-Bolt Para is a bit unlucky. He goes for a Volt Switch trying to predict the Mandibuzz or something, maybe the Starmie to come in. But no such luck. Now Rotom gets a slow Volt Switch into Victini, stalling out the electric terrain turns so that now Coco's T-Bolt does not kill Victini. So another KO will be in order. Go to the Starmie, sack it off to get some Helmet Chip. Oh, Wombo schedule was when the time is right, we will know when to battle. Oh, I do remember that. And then he was just rage baiting. Yeah. Okay, I remember now. But okay, Victini does go for another V-Create, another KO. But that Rocky Helmet means that even outside of terrain, it's always going to be in range of Coco now. So now your Victini targets are only Mandibuzz and Steelix. That's still fine. That's like half of the mons remaining. Rotom comes in on the T-Bolt, no problem. And now Coco can just stay in and take the Leaf Storm if it wants to. It's out of range. So a Volt Switch comes out into the Dragonite. Now we see a double to Swampert trying to scout out what the initial Dragonite response is going to be. We see it's Mandibuzz. Coco once again in on the Cobalion, goes for a Roost, has one full para, T-Bolt, two full paras, and now we're going to switch into Swampert on the next T-Bolt, and now this Toxic does put us into Custap range. And now Custap in Torrent, you're just going to go for a Surf, pretty reasonable into anything, covers if one wanted to scout for that, go Mandibuzz. And now Dragonite comes in, goes for the Dragon Dance, and with Multi-Scale intact, we're able to click Stone Edge twice into this Mandibuzz and knock it out. Foul Play does a lot, but it's not going to kill, and we do connect two Stone Edges. So yeah. Now Hawlucha comes in, and at 55%, Dragonite is in range of the Brave Bird. So just going to go for an E-Speed, get the chip that you can into this Scarf Hawlucha. And it's going to go down. But now Coco can come in. And the only like reasonable play is to go Steelix. So I'm going to go for a Grass Knot. Totally fine. And then Rotom comes in on the Steelix. Now at this point, it's worth noting that Steelix is kind of the only thing stopping our Coco from just kind of winning. So Wombo really needs this Steelix. So he's going to switch to Hawlucha on the Leaf Storm. That knocks it out, obviously. But now at -2, this Coco can come in and finally get a Roost off. So we get the Defog off, so no more rocks on these switches. But at the end of the day, the Rotom doesn't beat this Coco 1v1. Neither does our Victini, and neither does our Cobalion. But here, you're going to see the grand reveal. T-Bolt into Cobalion, but we go for a Steel Beam. And what this is going to do is it's going to put Rotom in range of the Leaf Storm from Rotom Mow. And Rotom, thanks to the defog, is out of range of the Dazzling Gleam. So Coco can't go for a Roost here because it'll die to Leaf Storm. But what Wombo can do is he can go Steelix, bait a -2 on this Rotom, and then come in later with Coco and Roost. And once this Coco roosts up, it should be able to 1v1 the rest of the team, it looks like. So Wombo needs to play to that endgame. So it goes to Steelix trying to bait the Leaf Storm, but Glop makes a fantastic double, catches the Steelix with our Choice Band Victini. And now we just click V-Create and we win the game. So here's a Protect. So stalls out 1 PP of V-Create, another Protect, another V-Create, so 2 V-Creates left, and we have a triple Protect. And what this means is there's only 1 V-Create left. Which means if this V-Create kills the Steelix, Coco can Roost on the Struggle Victini. But what's going to end up saving us here is the fact that Steelix has recovered back up to Sturdy. So there is no opportunity to go Coco on the Struggle turn, because the Victini will knock out the Steelix with Struggle, go down itself, and then our Coco comes in, and we see our terrain goes up first, and we outspeed, and we win the game. So down to the wire endgame, really fun to watch live, like truly on the edge of my seat. Quite the spectator experience, if I do say so myself. And so that's what, we're up 3-1 now. Yeah, up 3-1 with our only loss being Double Freeze. I mean, hey, we'll take that, right? Now before this game, I'm going to be right back. I'm going to get some more water. It's a little bit hot right now, so I'll be right back. All right. We're so back. All right, so low QP versus Metariolu. All right. This is going to be Natdex, and low QP is using this team. He's been absolutely frying with this all season. Has been really fun to watch him build and play. And now we see him in the semifinals versus like this team, which honestly has made me start to respect Milotic a little bit more in the Natdex format, especially with access to stuff like Flip Turn, Toxic, Scald, Recover, stuff like that. It's really an annoying piece to remove. But yeah, I guess not too much to say in this one. Dragonite's going to lead off into our Gliscor. Go for a Toxic as we are Yachi Berry on this lead Gliscor set. Take that reveals to be boosting item on the Dragonite, so probably Expert Belt or something like that. So Loki P is going to take that as an opportunity to pivot into Comfy on the next Ice Beam, and then we get frozen again. So Spectral freezes, and this is like particularly bad because Comfy is like our main win condition piece there. I feel like I've seen more non-Toxic Orb Gliscor lately. Is that just me? Definitely you've seen some of it, especially in like the Nat Deck stuff, because it has so much more it can do. But I think in Paldea decks, you usually do see the Toxic Orb. Okay, substitute Latios. We see it's Silvally Ghost. Get a T-Wave on that. Pretty easy. Now Celesteela comes in, but like I was saying, Comfy is kind of our win condition here because Draining Kiss, Giga Drain, really strong clicks into a lot of these Pokemon. Like Medicham dies, Darkrai dies, Dragonite dies, Iron Treads is 2-hit KO'd, and we have like good Treads answers. Milotic loses 1v1, Silvally. I mean, Silvally is the only thing that can like kind of trade favorably into Comfy. But even then, it's not great. It's already paralyzed, right? Now here, you see turn 10, Milotic clicked Scald. That was like our one opportunity to get Comfy thawed. But Loki P did not find that, unfortunately. And yeah. Another Ice Beam into Latios. So Ice Beam, Iron Head, Roost. The last is certainly not going to be E-Speed because you're just hard-walled by Celesteela. So a pretty safe Roost there. But Darkrai comes in, clicks Dark Pulse, knocks that out. Now Urshifu comes in, goes for a U-turn on Milotic, keeps up offensive pressure as Charles comes in, threatening the Power Whip, which does a lot of damage to the Treads. And okay, so now Treads is at 53%. We go into Celesteela, take a Volt Switch, does basically nothing, but Darkrai comes in, and this is a threat. So now Comfy comes in on the Dark Pulse, not a 2-hit KO, and now a double to Urshifu, trying to catch some kind of switch to what? Trying to catch the switch to Treads, I think, but Meta does not respect the Thaw chance, and just instead goes for the Dark Pulse instead, which, fair enough, right? But here, a switch to Cyclizar avoids the helmet for now, and we miss a Power Whip, but that shouldn't be the end of the world. And now Double Edge, going to do quite a lot of damage. Treads now in range of the Power Whip. It's just going to go down. So now Tread's gone. If this Comfy thaws, even at 40%, it's looking like it's just going to win. Alright, we get some Quick Attack chip on this Darkrai, which we'll once again claim with Dark Pulse. But here Comfy comes in, and if we thaw, I mean, everything just freaking dies besides the Silvally. Like, literally everything gets one shot. But instead, we're going to stay frozen, and we're going to get crit. So, real cool, real classy. Darkrai in, going to claim another kill. At this point, it's like just very easy for meta, just play safe, and he will win. A U-turn takes the last helmet hit. Gets Lottie in front of Milo for a sub. But flip turn into Silvally. Should be able to 1v1 this thing. Goes for a Roost, trying to catch some full paralysis. At this point, we revealed the whole Latios set. See multi-attack, another sub. Here's a full para. Now the Dragon Pulse is going to put it in range of the next one. But here, go for a sub, fishing for some more paras, and we actually do get it. Now here is a little bit of a problem here, right? Because we need to be high HP and behind a sub to win this, which is a lot to ask for. But if we don't get it, then Darkrai's just going to come in, break our sub, or Medi's going to come and break our sub, and then, you know, the other one will kill us and win the game. So we need to Roost here. Multi-attack, always going to break the sub. But if we can sub up and then be like at full HP, that's our win condition. Like at this point, it's really low odds, but he's going for it. There's a para, roost, roost, sub, roost, roost. Finally, the Savali breaks through, and Medchi, I'm going to finish it off with a bullet punch. Yep, bullet punch. And so that's going to bring the series to 3-2. Still favored for flex appeal. 3 games to go. Here we see Agency Zone versus Sub-Zero. Oh, hey, Thanos. So we have a Virizion here. And you're going to notice, like, if you've been watching these watch parties, you should know this team does have a Terra Goldango on it. But we don't need a Terra Goldango when we have a Virizion. Why is there a Virizion on my screen? You're about to find out, bro. You're about to find out. Okay. So this matchup, Zarude could be a few types. Electric was probably the most likely one that we saw in mocks. Monkey Dory is going to be Terra Ghost. It's hiding behind the Tinkaton Hammer, but it is there. Is Terra Ghost. Get that boost on Shadow Ball is really important versus stuff like Deoxys, the Goldango. But yeah. So basically, this is the worst version of the BCS team with the Terrap, Zarude, Aloe. Instead of a bundle, well, they still have a bundle, but it's benched. What's the difference? Instead of a Gliscor, they have a Lando Eye. And instead of Scizor, they have a Tinkaton. Instead of Ditto, they have a Monkey Dory. I don't know, I just like the Scizor version better. But they're both strong teams, right? But let me show you what we cooked up for this one. So Virizion is going to lead off into Monkey Dory, immediately Terra Ghost, and go for the Swords Dance. He's not slick, you're so right. But the cool thing about Terra Ghost, Virizion, is that if Terrapagos wants to break it, it needs to be either Toxic, which we didn't think was very likely, or it needs to be Dark Pulse. And the problem with Dark Pulse is you just spam Justified boosts. Like, Dark Pulse doesn't even 2-hit KO. Virizion has base 129 SpDef. So you take 40%, you get a +1 attack boost. You take 40%, you get a +1 attack boost, and you can synth these off until you get to a point where Terrap just freaking dies. But okay, Leaf Blade is going to break the Terra Shell, no problem. And we're going to see a Flamethrower get clicked, which begs the question, why did we even go to this in the first place, right? We already saw it Terra. Surely the plan could not have been, oh, let me give it my shell to do 20% to a Virizion, right? Surely you had a better path here. But okay, now Monkey Dory is going to pivot in on the next Leaf Blade. Totally fine. And now Sub going to respect the Scarf Shadow Ball, go into the Zapdos. Totally fine. Now Lando in on the U-turn reveals no item there. Now Deoxys comes in. Now Deoxys forces out with the threat of Ice Beam, and we go for a spike on the switch to Tinkaton. This is really nice. And now Zapdos comes in on the knockoff, gets the static para immediately, and the Roost up back up to full. And a full para, so that's pretty nice. Go for a discharge, bring this thing a little bit lower, reveals that it's leftovers. Now here, we're seeing Agency goes to Lando, but we catch that with a U-turn into our Deoxys speed. Once again, threatening the Ice Beam. We're going to see here, we go for a Psycho Boost that does 60%. And I know what you're thinking. That seems about right, right? 60% from Deoxys versus Lando. That's about right. But what you don't know is that we are Choice Specs Modest Deoxys. So this Lando is like very Assault Vest. Like extremely Assault Vest. So we see that, okay, Lando's chipped. This is nice. This opens up stuff like our Zapdos and our Florges to be some offensive threats. Like Florges, low-key kind of farms once the Tinkaton takes a little bit more chip. You low-key love running AV Lando, do a lot of the Bolt matchups. Yeah, a lot of times that's your best option in a Bolt. Here, using it into Zapdos and the Goldango on the bench. But okay, Terrap comes in, but we could just go for Virizion. There's nothing really that this Terrapagos can do. We block the spin, totally good. Now Monkey Dory comes in on the Synthesis turn, And we could just go Zapdos here. I think at some point we probably want to get our Tuscan to spin. They do get a Toxic Chain on our Zapdos, not the end of the world. We're usually just clicking U-turn with this anyways. As the Lando comes in, a Virizion once again hits the field. Another day, another Leaf Blade. And now here, I really want to see like a Tusk in on Tinkaton. Get that spin off. We go for a close combat, and we are Eject Pack. So this is there so that we can Swords Dance, and then a lot of times in mocks, their response to Swords Dance Virizion was just 1v1ing it with Zarude, seeing that we're Terra Ghost and died a knockoff. But with Eject Pack Close Combat, we do like 80% to it, and then we get out of there into like Zapdos or, you know, Tusk, something like that, and then they can't recover, right? So it ended up being pretty strong. Here we use that to go Zapdos. I really think we should be going Great Tusk there to get the spin off. These rocks are quite annoying, especially for our Weavile, our Zapdos, even our Virizion, right? Doesn't love taking these rocks. But instead we're going to go Zapdos. Don't love it, but whatever. Gets the Roost off into Lando. And now, most likely a Rock Slide is coming, so we go Florges on the U-turn, so it works out at the end of the day. Monkey Dory in. Forget what our Florges was, it changed a bunch over the week. But Zapdos is sacked off to the Sludge Bomb. Now we go Great Tusk, and now we could potentially get the spin off as Aloe comes in. And there is the spin, but I think it probably could have happened a bit sooner. That's all. Now we get the double hazard advantage, right? Rocks and spikes. We see Flip Turn reveals us to be Rocky Helmet Great Tusk. And now with the Wish in the air, we go for a Roar. So Agency can't at least choose what the Wish goes to. It's going to end up going to Lando, which is a little bit, whatever. Like, I don't mind that. I'd rather this than the Monkey Dory, for example, or the Tinkaton. And now a switch to Virizion on the Aloe. Goes for a Swords Dance. A Flip Turn comes out, but I mean, this is the last switch in for Monkey Dory. It can't come in on hazards ever again. So here, I think it's pretty safe to just sack something, right? You don't really want to risk the Toxic Chain on your Virizion, considering it literally sweeps the game next time it comes in, right? Or damn near close to it. But instead, we're going to stay in, and unfortunately they do get the Toxic Chain first try. Technically second try on the Virizion, right, because it U-turned earlier. So about right in terms of odds. Now, Aloe goes for a Protect, but we reveal the Synthesis here. I guess it was already revealed, but we go for it here. Get around that. A Leaf Blade here on the, what, the Wish? No, Flip Turn. Now to wrap in. Now this is like the most obvious pivot back I think ever, or like maybe a pivot to Lando would be pretty reasonable as well. So we're gonna pivot Florges, as that covers the switch back to Aloe. Don't die to Helmet. Now Florges can just go for a Moonblast with the Tinkaton so low. Now Florges is like a real offensive threat. Trap in. Now here. Sub makes an aggressive play, stays in on the non-spin, and then goes for Virizion on the spin. Yeah, he's just him for that. I don't know what to tell you. Virizion moment. And now, like, CC is pretty free. Synthesis also quite free. Goes for the Synth immediately. And now, what is Agency even supposed to do? Sacks the Trap to close combat to allow a free Zarude entry point, looks like. Yeah, so Zarude does hit the field, takes double hazard. But here, we can just go for a close combat. We die to the Toxic, but what this does allow us to do, scout out the set, right? CC does 29, so now Sub has an idea of what kind of Zarude this is. And judging from those calcs, we know that our Choice Banded Weavile is able to 2-hit KO with Foul Play. So a Bulk Up comes out, doesn't matter. The next Foul Play will knock it out. We get a crit. Maybe if it was a roll that mattered, but like, come on, it did 49 the last one. Tinkaton in, but Great Tusk able to come in and knock this out with Helmet. Or never mind, Gigaton doesn't make contact. I forgot. But here, just go for Earthquake. You see our set, we don't really touch Landorus. It's fine though. We can just sack this off, no problem. Weavile comes in, and we can just click Ice Shard twice, and that is going to be the game. That's 2 games in the series, ending off with a choice-banded Ice Shard sweep from Weavile. And that's going to be the game. So we're up 4-2 now. As we go into game 7. I can count. I promise I can count. I had to check on my fingers there for a second, you saw. Okay, we have Dr. Geo versus Ava, or is it Eva? I've been pronouncing it Eva Kiyama, but then I've been hearing people say Ava recently, so I really don't know. My bad, I suppose. Fry's bag? Yeah. Okay, Dr. Geo is like a sub for this game, because Wagon unfortunately had like an emergency in real life. He had to go deal with that. So Geo is on the field instead. Fry's back in the chat. Yeah. I mean, we're popping off. Bang. Wait, where's the Fry's bag? Oh, is it on the rapid spin turn? Well, where is it? Did I miss it? I don't know. It's whatever. It doesn't matter. Okay. Gen 4. We see Blastoise lead off into Dragonite. Now, if I remember correctly, this was a Specs Blastoise. So I'm going to go for the Specs Ice Beam, but Yachi Berry Dragonite able to chew that, go for a Toxic, but that's about as good of a trade as you can ask for. Another Ice Beam. Gets a crit onto Registeel. Now we go into Hariyama on the Rock's turn. This Hariyama is designed to take advantage of Registeel's. Able to sub up on Seismic Toss. Isn't this a rematch from a week ago? Yes, it is. We played this matchup in week 6. And we're playing it again here. Okay, Air Slash Shaman able to break the sub, and with Yachi Berry able to take the Ice Punch. Yachi Berry mostly aimed at our Weavile that we have in the back, but also applies for Ice Punch Hariyama. Now Zapdos in on Shaman, able to tank the Seed Flare, gets the Spadef drop, which is a little bit obnoxious, especially considering we're slower, but we do live the next one. Unfortunately, it's only to U-turn, so not a whole lot of chip on this Shaman, but now Weavile comes in, threatening the Ice Punch, is going to go for it. Weavile is going to do a little bit of chip to this Registeel, but not quite low kick range yet. So going to go Blastoise instead. And here, just going to go for Surf and crit the Registeel. So that's 2 crits on the Registeel. Bit lucky. Remember, because I made a mock for this and was told that they brought, and I was like, man, why would I change most of this? I don't know what you mean there. Okay, Blastoise does get a kill there. Ambipom able to come in, but we do have a Steelix, so no reason to sack just yet. As you can see, it does 13%. Now low kick, a measly 35 as we get up rocks for free. But once again, they're using this Ambipom to weaken our Steelix, probably for the Jolteon in the back. And then now they get a Shaman entry point to heal up versus our Steelix. So it's just a Zapdos sack here, which is a little bit questionable, right? A Synthesis is definitely coming there, but fair enough. Now Weavile in, takes more rocks. It's going to take Life Orb as well. And Quillfish is going to be the switch into Ice Punch, which takes a lot of damage. And here's an Ice Shard, trying to catch like a Scarf Quillfish, which is what they were in week 6. But instead it's just going to be an Aqua Jet, which will knock us out either way. But now Shaman comes in, and Shaman's just going to go for a Seed Flare, pick off the Dragonite. And now the opposing Shaman comes in. We can just go into our Blastoise, sack it off. As a Synthesis comes out. And they go for a Synth, expecting to be slower than the Blastoise. But turns out not to be the case, and that's actually quite a good thing for us. It means the Shaman remains quite low. And now I think we can just go to our own Shaman. Yeah. And Jolteon's going to come in on the Hidden Power Ice. But at this point, we could just go Steelix. Catches a T-Bolt, predicting the Hariyama to come in. But here Ambipom going to be sacked off to the Steelix. Catches a Toxic, not the end of the world. Protect on the low kick. Oh yeah, Clies, I understand that. But okay, Ambipom basically goes down to the Steelix. Now we revealed the full set: Earthquake, Toxic, Protect, Rocks. So yeah, now Shaman comes in. Is going to go for a Synthesis, but with Toxic, a little bit of a miss there. Unfortunate. So another Protect here, stalls the Seed Flare, gets a little bit more leftovers. And we actually live the next Seed Flare, crucially, gets that Toxic off. And now you're going to see a little bit of mind games between Protect, Synthesis, and attacks. We see a Seed Flare on Protect. And here we see a Synthesis on Earthquake. Yeah. Here's another Protect on Seed Flare. And now this Shaman is looking very low. Goes for a Synthesis on the Earthquake again. And now at this point, I mean, you can sack the Steelix. The Toxic is going to bring this down to 11%. And our Shaman is Choice Scarf. So it's looking like we can just Earth Power 3 times and the game is over. So we go to Shaman. And we click HP Ice, unfortunately. Which, okay, Jolteon can come in. Goes for the Rain Dance, sets up the Quillfish. Now goes for a Signal Beam, predicting the Shaman to come in. No such luck. Now Hariyama, even after like not Earth Power sweeping, we've kind of allowed Ava to get a chance here. But the thing is, our Hariyama still lives this Quillfish hit, as you can see. But unfortunately, it is going to flinch us. So, a misplay into get punished by hacks. I mean, can't really complain too much, can you? Yeah, just needed to click Earth Power there. Was there a reason, or was it just a blunder? Just a blunder, yeah. I couldn't explain the last 15 turns if I tried. Man. So, that is going to bring it to a game 8, which again is going to be a sub from our end. Nala was not able to play the game, so we're going to have Fiend play instead. Fiend, he's the hero we deserve. Also the hero we need. We'll see if he can get it done. He's playing up against Gondra, I believe. This is Gondra, right? Who is like... yeah. Okay, so Gen 5. We have this, I think it's Scarf Jellicent team with Yachi Garchomp. We have Choice Scarf Hitmontop, which is a really strong set into this team. The only fighting resist is Quillfish, right? And then we have stuff like Weavile. I feel like we drafted so many Weaviles in this tour, and this is another one of them. Yeah, pretty strong team. And let's get into it. So Kyurem Black is going to lead off into the Bronzong. Pretty good lead for us. Can just go for free rocks as Earth Power is not a 2-hit KO. But you're going to see this Kyurem reveals to be quite slow, as Gyro Ball only does 45% and leftovers Kyurem. So we're going to switch to Hitmontop on the pivot. Catches the next Earth Power, does 39. But with Scarf CC, we're able to pick off this Kyurem, which is a massive deal. Really, really strong Scarf Hitmontop catch there. Now Quillfish does come in, can potentially set up spikes or T-spikes on us, but it is going to be an entry point for our Zapdos, which you can see the only real switch in a Zapdos is, you know, the Electros. T-Tar can come in, but that's going to get Toxic. Eats a Lumberry, fair enough. But now another Toxic gets clicked, Toxic T-Tar, so a lot of Toxic here. Okay, both sides getting put on a timer. Finally, a Volt Switch comes out into Hitmontop, threatening another close combat, but also you can just spin here. There's 2 hazards up, totally reasonable just to spin. So that's probably what we're going to see here. And there is the spin into Quillfish. No Rocky Helmet, and so Hitmontop lives to see another day. Zapdos in. and you're going to see spikes go up, but once again, this is a free Volt Switch. There's no ground type to block it, and Qwilfish in, I mean, you'll take hazards plus Volt plus Toxic on T-Tar, that's totally fine. Weavile comes in, just going to pick this off with a low kick. Don't really have anything that wants to come in on Weavile right now. So T-Tar is going to bite the dust. Another Life Orb Weavile. Now Infernape comes in, signaling it's either going to be a priority move or it's going to be Scarf here. You see a U-turn here. It's probably signifying Scarf Infernape, which makes sense. You want something to cover like a Substyle like Garchomp, stuff like that. But okay, Zapdos comes in, Eel takes the field, and you see Leftovers, Coil, and this is definitely going to be like Rest Talk. The question is, what is the attack? Right? We see Roost Zapdos getting back up healthy, and there's the Rest Electros. So Zapdos does have to get out of here. Don't really want this Electros setting up to the moon, so Volt Switch into Jellicent. As we see a Sleep Talk and Dragon Tail. So forces our Jellicent out into Weavile. What do we do here? Just go for a Life Orb return. Just some like reasonable damage. As they Sleep Talk another Dragon Tail. So relatively lucky on their end, but it's Sleep Talk rolls at the end of the day. Now Jellicent comes in, and this Electros is really pressured to rest here. So we go for a trick, give this thing a Choice Scarf, and now it's Scarf locked into rest. This is really fantastic turn from Fiend. We get the Leftovers on Jellicent as well, so we don't take Sand Chip. Now Registeel in on the Scald. No burn, as he reveals no item. Another Scald, another Fish opportunity, and now Rocks go up. So it's double Rocks here, which makes sense into a Zapdos team. Goes for a Toxic. But it looks like our Jellicent will be able to 1v1 this Registeel at the end of the day. So another Scald, another no burn, unfortunately, but next Scald will knock it out. So we could just go for that. But instead, inexplicably, we trick it some Leftovers. Surely this won't be a problem, right? Okay, Hitmontop comes in. Can go for a spin here if you want to. Goes for a spin. But because of the Leftovers, now you can just rock forever. So awesome. And so rocks are guaranteed up. We go Zong, which is going to allow Qwilfish to get spikes up, which is going to kill our Hitmontop. Yeah, this is starting to get a little bit fishy. Alright, Garchomp does at least find its way on the field on the spike turn, rewarded with a KO. But now you look at it like, okay, Garchomp is going to win this game. Infernape comes in, probably just going to be an HP Ice or a U-turn for some chip. So either way, not really too worried. Can just kind of click Dragon Claw for a KO. We're going to sack the Registeel to Dragon Claw, it looks like. Except it doesn't kill. So the next Dragon Claw should just knock it out. We just go for it. But we go for an Earthquake, trying to cover for like a low damage roll or something like that. Which, fair enough. But now Electros finds its way on the field. And now it's going to click Sleep Talk. And if our Garchomp takes a Dragon Tail, we're going to lose to Scarf Flare Blitz, right? Our Hitmontop's dead to hazards. Our Zong's at 28. Our Zapdos is at 31 after hazards. Like, we cannot afford to take this hit. Goes for a Dragon Claw. We see a Sleep Talk gets Coil. Okay, so we dodged one bullet. Got one more opportunity to call the Dragon Tail. It lives on one. Sleep Talk, what will it pick? Dragon Tail. And you see where this is going, right? Yeah, Heat Proof Bronzong as well, going to take spikes. And Infernape comes in. And there's something even more poetic about this, right? Garchomp comes in. Flare Blitz, okay. We get the Rough Skin, we get the Recoil. But now Flare Blitz into Zapdos. The Infernape will go down to Recoil plus Sand. But the problem is, remember when we when we tricked this leftovers, and that allowed it to live 2 Dragon Claws essentially, which allowed the pivot into Electros in the first place. That means it's going to live the rocks here. So we're going to lose the game. And that's going to force tie breaks. Oh my god, dude. It feels kind of tough, man. Because especially like you look at the first like 6 games, we're just frying them. The only losses we have are to like double freeze and then turn 2 freezing our win con, you know? Like those one, it's excusable, right? But these last 2 really tough, man. So it is going to force us to tie breaks. So I think next week's stream, we're going to go over those tie breaks, and we're also going to cover the circuit finals. That's going to be K-Crick versus Void of Darkness. Those should be some pretty strong games as well. So it's not just going to be 3 games, it'll be 6 games that we're going to go in depth for. Given that it's tie breaks and that it's, you know, tournament finals, we're able to go a little bit more in detail on those. For these ones, I just kind of wanted to get it out of the way so we can get, you know, back on track. I did skip a week in week 7, so wanted to get this out there. Why did we trigger Registeel its item? It's like giving Steph Curry a shooting sleeve. It is, isn't it? But yeah, so tie breaks coming soon to theaters near you. And that's the plan, all right? So not really much more to say there. I wish we didn't have to go to tie breaks, but I'm sure we'll be all right. All right. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next week for some more Pokemon gameplay. Now, if he didn't Geo Lucky, he on Flex rather than Thieves. Imagine the agency crash out if they were on his team. Yeah, I mean, very true. I mean, we saw what happened in week 5, right? But it was not meant to be, so low-key, as long as we win the tiebreak, it's a net positive for us because a lot of our starters are actually busy this week. So, a blessing and a curse, we could say. But yeah, I really hope we don't lose the series because of all this. It would be quite a sad way to end the series, which has been... this has been a really fun season so far. I want to continue working with these guys. I think we definitely have it in us for a grand finals, potentially even a championship. I don't know, Better Call Saul's looking pretty strong right now, but I know we can definitely compete with them. All right, that's enough waffling for me. See you guys in the next one.